Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Torture Chamber. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Great to be here with you. Let's get our heads right today on a Wednesday. It's kind of my Friday, but not really because I'll be back Friday, but I'm off tomorrow. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
Makes sense. I can follow that line of reasoning. That means, let me work this out.
Yep.
That means you're planning on taking Thursday off this week, but no other days.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
see?
So it's kind of like my Friday if I had to work on Saturday. But Friday will be my Saturday.
Or you can just say, I'm taking Thursday off this week.
I'm off tomorrow. So today is, again, like my Friday. Does that make sense?
But without a full weekend.
Correct. And I didn't
Following
want to leave you guys in the lurch for 2 days, so I'll leave you in the lurch for one.
A half lurch.
A half lurch. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer and imaging director. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Fantastic. Ben Higgins.
A lot of image directoring.
Paulie did some image directoring yesterday. We could talk about that for sure. It's actually one of the funniest things I ever heard. I laughed so hard when Paulie told me what happened. You haven't heard this yet, Benjamin. Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. We have some new lights in the studio. They are called Sensign, and they are the big
Ring lights.
The big ring lights. And I can't tell much difference right now, except that there's a blinding light in my face throughout the process. Yeah, Ben just put his on camera. So
You're a regular Manfred man now.
I don't know what that means.
Blinded by the light.
Got it. Okay. Wrapped up like a douche. Yes.
I definitely notice a difference. It's a little. You have more of a glare on your glasses than
Yeah.
Ben does.
Yeah, I do.
But I can definitely see a difference.
Do I look more handsome in without the light?
I can't quite tell. Is that Bradley Cooper over there?
Because that's what I
Or-
wanted. I wanted to make sure I look more handsome. What are you doing? Oh, no. He's moving stuff around.
I'm just tilting it so it's not going straight at your glasses
It
to
is,
try
though.
to reduce the glare
It
just
still
a little
is.
bit. If you angle it a little bit, you'll still get the light, but it won't be reflecting quite as directly.
It is right
Yeah.
in my face. It's good to be here with you guys this morning. There's a lot to talk about. Ben's very upset about the Aztecs loss last night. He sat down at his desk or at his little area there. Paulie, you weren't in here. He goes, just to himself, he goes, "Ugh, Aztecs," just like that. It was very
I
quintessential.
just have to stay up so late to watch such a disappointing game again.
I watched about 20 minutes of that fiasco, and that seemingly was all I needed. Of course, I knew the comeback was coming, and I missed it, which is fine because they ended up losing anyway. But we will talk about that and then some today. I'm in the chamber though because dieting Woods is not he's not the best guy. He's just not. I'm doing the SD fat loss with my wife. I'm basically shadowing her. So she paid for it, did the whole thing, and she's like, "You have to do it with me." I was like, "Okay, I'll do it with you." And it's
You're
hard.
Larry David.
I'm Larry David.
Getting free golf lessons by sitting on a bench.
That's right.
Observing a golf lesson.
I'm fully stealing this deal, right? But I'm not because my wife paid for it. I'm sure that happens all the
she
time.
paid for it,
Yeah,
not
she
you.
paid for it. But there's the book. She's made me little notes. So the one thing that is really messing with me, the food is great. Like I had steak. I feel like Ben right now doing. I had steak. I had green beans. I had berries. By the way, I get why he talks so much about the berries because when you haven't eaten and you're dieting and you have these berries, they're sexual.
They're
When you
treat-like,
eat them,
yeah.
I was eating them. I was like, oh, they tasted so good, so good.
Told you, don't skimp on the
Oh,
berries.
I did not skimp on the berries. The thing that's messing with me is my morning coffee. And Hannah stands in the kitchen to make sure that I don't use.
She watches you.
She does. Dude, we got in an argument about it this morning. so
I love that.
You have a food monitor.
she stood in there and watched me make my morning coffee. She packed me some lunches because I'm leaving for L.A. Today after the show. So she packed me up some chicken, broccoli, and the berries, which I will be murdering in my car on the way to L.A., just one at a time. And so she says, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Look, I'm like day 2. I go, look, I can't do this green tea thing in the morning. I'm a morning radio show host. I have to have my coffee the way that I want it. Now, what I use is it's It's in a yellow, I think it's Coffee Mate maybe, and it's the hazelnut creamer. And I look, there's only 25 calories maybe in a serving, and all I need is one dollop in my coffee, and then I can be on my way. And she said, absolutely not. She says, it's too much sugar. I said, there's only 5 grams of sugar. And she said, I don't care. You can't use this. Use their creamer. So I used this creamer that they recommended that has the consistency of liquid ranch dressing and also tastes kind of like you put liquid ranch dressing in your coffee. So I drank that, and I got mad, and I poured it out. Then I made the green tea, and I drank some of that, and I poured that out. And I said, I'll just go F myself. No caffeine for...
I switched to black coffee for a while.
See,
I
I
don't
can't
know.
do the black
You can't
coffee.
do black coffee. It's definitely... if you're used to having creamer in your coffee, that is a bit of a shock to the system. I'll admit that.
I'm just telling... if this is the make or break, I can't do it.
I was just gonna ask. Like, it feels like it's just a little bit of creamer.
It's just a tiny bit, Paulie. Like, is that going to... if I'm eating 700 calories a day, I'm going to lose weight. And so we had this argument this morning, and I just said, I love you. Thank you for looking out for me, but I'm going to have my coffee my way.
Can I...
It's not loaded
Can I
with-
be the mediator here?
It's not loaded, but by the way, it's not loaded with caramel and creme brulee topping. Like, it's a dollop of creamer.
Let me be the mediator here, and I will say that where you are starting, you're already in a much better place than where I was when I was starting. I needed the full 10 to 20% of my body weight. I lost 40 pounds in 60 days. You don't need to lose 40 pounds. If it's working for you, if you're okay losing just a little bit less weight over that time, then you can make some modifications. And in fact, I had a couple of cheat days. I went on vacation for a weekend. I gained 7 pounds.
See, I don't want that.
I went. And I lost it all again when I got back on the program. And they expect you to have a cheat day or two. Maybe it's a cheat. Instead of having a cheat day, you just have a little cheat creamer in your coffee. It's not.
Now she's down.
It's not impossible to stick with. It really is.
It's not. And I'm telling you, the food part is no problem. The little drops and everything else. She's down 8 pounds in 6 days, man. Wow. She's feeling great. And so I really didn't have a problem with any of the other stuff. I loved it. You were right. The food is the food that you like to eat. You're not eating crappy soy bars and stuff. It just, if you mess with my morning coffee, guess what that messes with? My routine and my show. I'm probably going to be terrible.
Yeah, as long as you're going well, why haven't I lost 8 pounds? I've only lost 4 pounds. Well, I mean, if you're okay with
Bro,
that.
I haven't even weighed myself yet. I don't even care.
Then,
I just want...
then you can make a few little modifications.
All right,
if you want
the creamer really 50% difference,
it's,
though?
It's not going to, no, it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be.
I would have lost 8, but because I had a little bit of creamer, I only lost 3.5.
I'm telling you, if I stay at...
How much creamer are you using?
If I stay at 700 calories a day, I'm going to dump weight. Dump weight. It's going to happen, which, again, that was no problem at all. So, yeah, no dairy. I can't have any dairy. I don't think it's dairy. It's not.
It's a non-dairy
creamer. So that's where I'm at right now. People are saying you should drink black coffee. I can't drink black coffee. I wish I could. It's always been manly. My grandfathers were like, cream, I don't need cream and sugar. Black coffee is all I drink. I would love to do it. It's just like they were able to drink warm whiskey out of a glass. Now, I can't do it either.
Where do you stand on tea, like hot tea?
It's
caffeine,
fine.
Right?
I drank green tea coming into work yesterday. It's miserable, man. I just
caffeine
need what I need. I just want that one little deal, and then the rest of it I will stick to it. I got berries in the car. I got a cooler. Everything's on ice. I'm going to stick to it.
If it helps you stick to everything else, I would say go for it. Now, I'm not an official counselor with sdfatloss.com.
Well, you're a good model, though. You've lost a ton of weight.
I did, and I wasn't perfect for the entire time. So I would say whatever helps you get through it.
Paulie's wife just said, how bad do you want it, Stephen? That's exactly what my wife said to me this morning. Well, I mean, if you don't want it, then I'm like, ugh. And I was like, if you're going to scare the bunny away, if you keep this up, you're going to scare the bunny. You're going to walk in, and I'm going to be sitting there with a tub of ice cream. Just let me do it. Not my way. I just need a little bit of a cheat. Not even a cheat, just a little tiny bit of creamer in the morning to get me going.
Concession.
Because I feel like
a minor
concession. Your life's too short.
Yeah, now you don't let it be a slippery slope, and then you make a concession and have a snack that you shouldn't have, and then you add to your portion size that you shouldn't add. It can be like a gateway to other things, but as long as you don't make it a gateway,
Yeah.
I think you can be okay with a tiny bit of non-dairy creamer.
Well, it's like, I'm going to see this show tonight in L.A. I'm going to go see one of my favorite bands, Crosses, is performing. And the guy I'm going with is a huge tier 1. His name's Brian. He lives up there. And he's like, yeah, man, let's meet up before. We'll get dinner, have some beers. I go, I can't.
Do you know Brian already, or are you meeting Brian?
No, he's the guy I met at the last Crosses show.
Oh, okay. The one at the cemetery.
He let me sneak in line with him. And
That's right.
We hit it
remember that
off. We're
story.
both huge fans. We had a great
The
time
line
together.
was way around the corner.
And he goes,
you just
Woodsy,
walk
jump
up,
in.
Come on.
I'm like, all right. It was amazing. He's a really good dude. And he's a huge tier 1. He is a Dodger fan, unfortunately, but he's a nice one. So we're gonna go tonight, and
a lot of Dodger loving tonight.
it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot, and I'm excited about it. But he said, let's go to dinner and get beers before. I go, I can't. I'm not allowed to eat dinner. I can't have any beers. So strength, diligence, honor, consistency. That's what I'm going for. Because I want to look like you.
You do look like
I want to look better than you. I'm in a presidential run here. My health is of utmost importance.
Good point.
Yep.
That's a good point. It's election season.
So I'm in the chamber right now.
Shouldn't matter what the candidate looks like, but a lot of people base their choices on appearance, and you've got to have a look if you want to be elected president of the tier 1s.
And I did want to thank our beloved TJ Simon, who did send us last week. Now, this was the tough part. Well, it actually timed out perfect because with SD Fat Loss,
you were loading.
You have 2 days where you eat like a hog.
Like 5,000 calories.
5,000. I didn't get close to 5,000, by the way.
That's
really
also
hard.
a challenge.
It's very challenging.
Eating less is a challenge. Eating more is actually a
So
challenge.
I walk into work. When did we get it, Paulie? What's the day? We got it on Monday.
We got it on Monday. I think it arrived over the
Walked
weekend.
in. She sends us every year this bourbon cake, and it is ungodly good. It's ungodly good. So I pulled off a huge piece of that on Monday after the show, and it was delicious. So TJ, you are the GOAT for sending that to us every year. Thank you so very much. But yeah, we do have a lot to talk about today. We've got some issues, man, with the San Diego Padres. Pitching staff right now, not a great day for one of the guys that kind of expected to make the rotation. Not a great defensive performance. Hey, and I wouldn't call it a big signing. I'll just call it another body added to the litter, if you will.
Throw another one at the wall.
Throw another one at the wall
sticks.
and see what happens. San Diego Padres did make a move yesterday. Did not excite many out there, but we'll talk about that. And
we will discuss the Aztecs last night and their late night loss at UNLV. The ramifications or potential ramifications of the setback, and just one game left this regular season coming up Friday night against Boise State. When we come back, I also want to talk about another of our colleagues who is also on the SDFatLoss.com program, Matt Scraby. Was listening to some of the Scraby show.
Oh, what did he do?
Last night. Well, I will tell you when we come back. With Bennett Woods, good morning to you. It is Wednesday. Let's check in with Kelly and traffic here, and off we go on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So this is very unlike me, but I was trying to be a good colleague, coworker last night. I don't usually get to listen to a lot of Matt Scraby's new show, 6 to 7, his Scraby Hour, because I'm on TV at like 6:20 and I'm working. And I don't. But yesterday was election day. It was a weird schedule. Happened to be in the car for about 30 minutes during Scraby's show, so I kind of settled in just to kind of hear what kind of takes he's got, what kind of show he's doing.
Did a little junior PD.
Yeah, I'm always impressed. He's doing this all by himself, sitting in Paul's chair right there, running the board, doing the show. He's got no one in the studio with him, monitoring the live streams and the feeds and the social media chats. And it's a lot to take on. It's a juggling act for one person. And what impressed me, and I texted this to him when his show was over, he taught me something last night during the show. And I always love when I learn something I don't know. And he did a segment on, and tell me if you've ever heard about this, frogging. Phrogging. Frogging. Has anybody heard of that?
No.
Because I hadn't heard of it either.
I've heard of
Frogger.
Frogger, the video game. But this is frogging with a PH.
Okay, no, I've never heard of it.
And it is a newer phenomenon, and they're not sure exactly how prevalent it is right now. But it's basically where someone lives in your house without you knowing it. So, like, during the day, they'll hide out in, like, an attic or a crawl space, or during the night, and then when you leave during the day, they just come out and live in your house.
Just kicking it, watching Judge Judy
during the
while
day.
you're at work.
Yeah, they'll use your TV, they'll hide out, and they'll stay for a few days, and then they'll move on somewhere else, and it's called frogging. And they actually have tips. I was like looking this up on a website, like how do you frog? How do you frog? And like here's some of the little tips. And
are you
Scraby was going through
encouraging
some of these.
our audience to frog?
I'm not
people?
encouraging this.
Times are tight.
I mean, they do warn it can be very dangerous.
Yeah, you think so?
It's
also
illegal.
terrifying.
It's illegal. Yeah, but
you can scare the crap out of a family.
Like for instance, dogs are not your best friend. You want to stay away from a house that has dogs or security cameras.
Right.
But like a good frog is a neat frog. Don't leave a bunch of messes around that are going to alert the homeowner to your presence. Don't eat too much. You can eat their food, but don't ever like finish the box of cereal. Leave always a little bit, like just so they're wondering. Like, I thought we had more Rice Krispies left in the box. Where I could have sworn there was a half box. Now there's a quarter box.
I couldn't live that way.
And obviously, don't stick around too long. Don't overstay your welcome. Make it 3 or 4 days at a time, and move on to a different house to frog at.
If we have any froggers in the audience, I would love to interview you. I really would. 833-288-0973.
And I was fast. And Scraby had me. I was riveted, going, I've never heard of this. There are people out there, and I figured, well, I mean, with the housing situation, as it were, you find somewhere that's comfortable. People aren't around their house very much during the day. You've got a nice, big, maybe luxurious house, and you just have
a secretive squatter.
Yeah, I see. It's a secret squat. Now, squatting's different. Squatting is when you live in an unoccupied house.
Right.
You're not paying rent, but you go in and you take it over for yourself. This is different. This is an occupied house, and you are living in it while there's a family or other people living in the house.
You're essentially like a burglar that doesn't leave.
Squatter, froggers should have a moral code. Thieving is
not. They leave a couple dollars on the counter?
No, but thieving is frowned upon.
How are they not thieving?
They're eating your
They're
food.
eating a little bit of food. I mean, they say,
They're living in your home.
If you want to be kind of a get in your head frog, you can move things around just a little bit, tilt the pictures a little bit,
it's terrifying.
Steal one fork, just kind of
terrifying.
I mean, is that where all my socks are going? Is a frogger taking one sock from the laundry every time?
So you texted Scraby.
I texted him and I said I was riveted to the frogging segment. I thought that's brilliant content. That was great radio at the end of my day. Didn't need to hear anything else. All I wanted to hear was more about frogging.
Paulie, when's the last time you got a text compliment from Ben? It's been a while, huh? A couple of years at least.
Oh, yeah. I don't know
well,
that it's ever happened
when you're doing good things, and I tell you in person. I compliment you in person often.
Very tough.
But I never see Scraby.
Hey,
I probably got one from Tony Gwynn Jr. more recently than
you did.
Hey, I'm sorry. It's not your fault.
Thanks.
Okay?
Thank you.
It's cruel. Very cruel.
Paulie, if I haven't said it before, you do an amazing job putting up with Woods every single day.
Frogging.
With a PH.
Yeah, I don't encourage that behavior.
It's not your fault.
It's a good way to get shot. and killed. I mean, honestly,
Yes.
like it's a really good
Yeah,
way.
if you start frogging and you see the guy has a large gun collection, you might want to move on to a different house.
Hannah says multiple times I've showed up in a vacant house, walked in on a squatter. Absolutely terrifying. Just incredibly terrifying. I've never heard of that though, but I'm that's good. That is good content. That's good radio content because I'd never heard of it.
I had never heard of it.
Had you locked in, which is really good.
All right, let's set the menu here. What we've got. I want to start today at the bottom of the hour here with the Aztecs, just because it was a late game last night. I'm sure a lot of our early morning audience did not stay up for the end, maybe not even the beginning, but if you saw the beginning, you saw the Aztecs fall behind massively. Of course, they came back and made it a game and actually tied it in the final minute. But we'll talk about San Diego State's latest road setback last night at UNLV. Then we'll get into the Padres. Pedro Avila's performance yesterday. He continues to be the one guy who is struggling this spring. Now, we keep telling you, spring results don't mean that much, but it's hard not to make a few judgments when it comes to the one guy who's struggling. Everyone else seems to be fairly locked in the spring. How do you not base some of your decisions on the starting rotation? But you also know he has no options left, and other guys do. So a little bit of a quandary for A.J. Preller and Mike Schiltz. We'll talk about the Padres game against the Diamondbacks yesterday. Got some of our regular features, of course. It's Take on Woods Wednesday again. A chance to qualify for that trip to the Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and dinner. Don't do this. Second half of the show includes our Tier 1 tour. We're still in the AL Central with the Minnesota Twins. The Reindl Report. Sam Levitt will check in from Padres spring training. You know, kind of like we did yesterday. There's some similarities to yesterday's show. I'm not going to deny that. In spring training, we've gotten into a bit of a groove on covering things day to day from Peoria, Arizona. But
some call it a groove, some call it a rut. It just depends on how you look at it.
Woods is more of the rut. I'm more of the groove kind of guy, but that's what makes the show work. We have different perspectives. So we'll get to all of that coming up this morning here on Ben and Woods.
Looking forward to it.
I am also looking forward to it.
How upset are you about last night?
Upset?
You seemed upset.
I'm pretty upset.
I mean,
you hate losing.
It's just a weird season. It's it's a much better season than the Padres had last year.
Yeah.
But it's a weird season. If the Aztecs win on Friday, it'll be the first time in school Division I history that they've ever won every home game. They've ever swept every game at home against a really tough schedule, against this tough Mountain West. They had a tough non-conference schedule. I mean, what an unbelievable season. And they're also having one of their worst seasons in years on the road. They cannot win any of these close games. It's kind of baffling. This doesn't make a lot of sense. Kind of like the Padres season last year.
Yeah.
What the Aztecs are doing doesn't make a lot of sense right now.
It's frustrating when you feel like they are beating themselves in these losses.
Yeah. I mean, the slow starts is a thing.
I mean, if it's a heavyweight battle,
sure.
Tip your cap sometimes, you're going to lose some games.
No doubt.
But, I mean, to come out 2 for 25 shooting yesterday, you're like, dude, you're not even competing right now.
Yeah, people are losing their minds right now. But the people were losing their minds all of last season as well. I will remind you that they were losing their minds.
They were.
The one thing I can tell you is, do you still kind of know they have not played their best basketball yet? They just haven't. They have not played their best basketball. And the constant need to come back every single game almost
now
just grinds you down.
There are probably Padres fans that just heard what you just said right now and had some PTSD.
Some flashbacks, yeah.
We haven't played our best baseball yet.
It's true.
It's a little bit
It's different in basketball.
In college basketball. Especially.
Yeah.
The regular season really doesn't matter at all.
Correct.
At all. There's no playoffs to get into. You get into the tournament automatically, and you could lose every game in November, December, January, and February.
Win that tournament.
And if you got hot in
you're
March,
great.
you could go to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, they need to make buckets, man. It's pretty simple.
There's a couple of guys they need to step up.
100%.
And it can't always be on Jaden Ledee every single game. He didn't have a great game. We'll talk about it, though, coming up here. Just a couple of items from the chat. Tevin says, on the plumbing subreddit, I've read stories of other service guys going into crawl spaces, finding some homeless dude in their crawl space. That would be a Frogger.
I would soil myself if I was creeping up in there. I'd be like, I would lose my mind.
Alex says Drew Pomeranz was a frogger for the Padres. He's kind of living there for 4 years without anyone noticing.
Anthony Rendon, bit of a frogger
For the
right now.
Angels,
Yeah, we got an update on him too.
All right, we'll get to Aztecs and Padres coming up next. It's Ben and Woods on a Wednesday morning on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. If you did not make it up to the end of the game, stay up until the end. Aztecs lost 62-58 to UNLV last night.
I feel like I made the right decision by going to bed.
It ended up being a good game. The concern is, did the Aztecs cost themselves a potential number 4 seed, protection geographically in the NCAA tournament? Do they now have to go all the way to the East Coast and play an upstart 12 seed, an upset-minded team, as opposed to a 13 seed automatic qualifier, and you'll probably play either in Spokane or Salt Lake City? Big difference between 4 and 5 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Now, I'm not calling you out, but I'm trying to remember exactly what you said yesterday about this very scenario. If you lose this game, I think you said if you win these 2 games,
I think you're locked in.
You're locked into the 4. The Mountain West tournament doesn't really matter for you.
And I think that was true. Now that they've lost,
now they're up against
they've at least opened the door to having it taken away from them. Now, if they win on Friday against Boise and win the Mountain West tournament, I have no doubt they can get back to a top 4 seed. That loss didn't hurt them in the metrics. We can go through the implications, though, and the game. We'll get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Just one collision here. Motorcycle involved crash on northbound 5 past the 54. Everything's over the right shoulder. Accident has cleared along eastbound 8 past the 67. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, if you've watched the Aztecs play this season, you've seen some very slow starts, but they took it to the extreme last night after a week off, and you can say it's rust. The players all said we had great practices. We were ready to go, but the Aztecs came out ice cold. They missed their first 13 shots, 23 of their first 25. They were 2 of 25 from the field to start the game. It's actually incredible that the game wasn't completely over 12 minutes into the game. They were down by 17, though, 27-10 after that slow start. And give UNLV some credit. It was their senior night. The crowd was fired up. The players were fired up. There's always a lot of emotion. The Aztecs will get that bump on Friday, their senior night against Boise State. It's just a thing in college basketball. Usually those teams come out with a ton of passion, and they were out rebounding the Aztecs early. There was definitely wasn't just missing shots, but they weren't playing with quite as much intensity. After those first 12 minutes, the Aztecs won the game. I mean, quite handily. I think they held UNLV to 35 points the rest of the game. In the final 32 minutes of the game, they dominated. They won 48-35, I think, the rest of the game. On the road against a UNLV team that is the hottest team in the Mountain West. They outplayed them for more than 3/4 of the game, but they got themselves in such a big hole that they were unable to complete the comeback. They got back all the way. They got within 1, and then UNLV built it up to 7 or 8, and they got it close again, and then finally, in the last minute, 45 seconds left, down 2, Lamont Butler comes up with a steal, goes the other way, the layup. They tie the score. But, of course, UNLV gets the ball back, and their freshman, who is terrific, Didon Thomas, does the old dribble, step in, step back, right over J-Pal, which has got to be one of the tougher shots you're going to have in college basketball, with that long, lanky arm right in front of you, right on him. Hits a beautiful step-back jumper to put UNLV back up by 2. Aztecs have a chance. They decide to go for the 3 and the win the other way. Get it out to Micah Parrish, who had just made 3 threes in a row. Looked like he had a good shot. And I forget which UNLV player, one of their tall guys, just closes out so fast, gets a finger on the ball, block shot. They get the rebound, foul, 2 free throws, and UNLV wins it 62-58. Another missed opportunity for San Diego State to get a road win against a upper-level team in the Mountain West. They went 0-6 against the top teams in the Mountain West this season.
9th time in the last 10 games they've trailed after 5 minutes. It's notoriously slow starts. That's kind of when I turned it off after that really ice-cold run to start the game. But, hey, man, you got one more, and you got the Mountain West tournament. There's still the panic, I think is fair. It's my favorite thing to do. I woke up this morning at like 3, and I checked the score, and I went, oh, no, and I went to your Twitter, and I watched the meltdown ensue on your Twitter.
Dang it!
This is not from you, from the people in your feed. This is not a tournament team. They're going to be one and done. I don't know that you can make. I saw the same stuff last year. This is a one-and-done team, and obviously we know how that ended. So, look, until you're done, you're not done. So I think I think they're going to be okay, Benny. You just got to find a way to score early.
Yeah, the bottom line is 32 teams essentially will be the one-and-done teams.
Yeah,
and San Diego State absolutely is in danger of
100%.
that. There's nothing. They're not immune from college basketball, and they'll need someone other than Jaden Ledee to step up and play better offensively. And Ledee ended up with his lowest scoring game of the season. He had 12 points, most of them at the free throw line. He went 2 of 12 from the field. Just couldn't make it, though. Those mid-range jumpers, didn't have his shot yesterday, left a lot of them short, a lot of clangs off the rim. It wasn't one of Jaden Ledee's better games. And the Aztecs tried to make up for it. They shot 33 three-pointers, which is not Aztecs basketball.
Yeah.
Made 11 of them, which is actually a season high. That's not terrible. 33%, and that's what kept them in the game. But they went 22% on their twos. You can't win a game. You got to be shooting closer 50% on those 2-point shots in college basketball. To shoot 22% from twos is just not Aztecs basketball. They didn't get much from Reese Waters. Didn't get much offense from Jay.
Well, he didn't get
Jay
a ton
Powell.
of minutes, did he?
He didn't get
He had
coming
two
off
quick
the
fouls,
bench,
and then he didn't do much because he didn't get. I think Parrish doubled his minutes last night. I mean, Reese is a good shooter.
Parrish made a couple of shots. He had been struggling, obviously, with the shot for much of the season, and finally hit a couple. Elijah Saunders hit a couple of threes, which was helpful. But inside, Jaden Ledee is going to need a little bit of help on those 2-point shots, and he wasn't getting it last night. And UNLV is almost as good as the Aztecs are defensively. In the metrics, they're right up there. They're a really good defensive team. So, the Aztecs aren't the only club that struggles against UNLV defensively, but if you want to win in the tournament, you're just going to have to shoot better, which is what they did last year. They had contributions from a lot of guys. Darion Trammell, Lamont Butler, they all contributed during the tournament, and lo and behold, they won a bunch of games. And if they do that again, probably win a few games in the tournament. They don't, they could lose their first game in the NCAA tournament. But guess what? That's true of just about every other team in college basketball.
Yeah, it's college basketball. Paulie, your buddy that texted you.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Nick.
Nick, and you play basketball with him.
He's on the Tier 1
He's
basketball
on the Tier 1
team.
basketball team.
He said
he's incensed.
Oh, yeah. He goes.
I told call in, Nick. I want to hear this rant on the radio. That's what I want.
He texted the basketball team last night. It was 11:30. I was way asleep.
Yeah.
He goes.
He texted the squad.
He said, "I'm still fuming over this loss. The guards have been awful this season. You don't have a guard who can create and score. You lose these games." And then he says, "Look at these games. At Boise, 6:13 to go, 1 possession game, they lost. At Colorado State, 6:11 to go, 1 possession game, they lost. At Nevada, under 20 seconds to go, up 2, lost that one. At Utah State, 2:06 to go, 1 possession game, lost. At UNLV, under 20 seconds to go, tie game, they lost."
Tough. That's very
Even the
tough.
New Mexico game that they lost by 18, they pulled within 1 in the second half at some point.
Yeah.
So every single road loss was winnable for the Aztecs this season. Every single one of them was winnable, and they essentially didn't pull out a single one of them that thought this looks like a toss-up, because almost all of them, they were either favored by a point or two or underdogs by a point or two. They were all expected to be close games. They all were close games. They just didn't come up with the big shot when they needed it. Of course, as we've talked about, you don't really need it in college basketball. The Aztecs are going to the tournament. If they've saved all their close wins from, the end of March, great. Great. That's all that really matters. You just have to be concerned that when you don't do it over and over again, like the Padres last season, it gets you in your head. You start pressing down the stretch like, okay, what did we do wrong last time? How are we going to change it this time? And guys are going to lose some confidence when you keep losing these close games, and then when you get to the tournament and you lose one close game, you don't get a chance to lose another one after that.
I saw somebody in the chat earlier, forgive me for forgetting who it was, but they were just talking about how Ledee was just getting hacked again. And you're not wrong. He has gotten horrible treatment from the refs on the road in particular. I mean, just triple team, guys swinging at him. He has just been taking a beating all season long. But we're in the middle of March almost. It's happened all season long. Don't you almost have to expect that
Correct.
and adjust and pivot, and maybe on the road at least, like Ledie's going to be like, hey man, I got to be more like a decoy. They're going to be guys all over me.
Somebody's gotta
They're
step
gonna
up
be
and hit
hacking.
shots, yeah.
I can't do this, so I'm going to play off the ball a little bit. Somebody else is going to have to create a shot and score for us because I'm just getting mauled in the paint right now.
And hasn't
it
it
happens
been
every game?
But hasn't it been that way for the home team in every Mountain West huge
the
game?
Aztecs get calls at home.
100%.
They don't on the road.
They'll get calls Friday night.
It's hard to start. It's hard to be as upset every game when it's just the same every game. It got bad at one point, so bad that Dutch got a T because he just kept feeling like one end of the court they're calling it, and then the other end of the court the exact same thing they don't call it. When Ledie gets hammered, doesn't get called. When our guys they go inside and they're getting
I'm not
the phone,
saying it's
they're
right.
getting the
it
foul
sucks,
calls.
but it's happened every away game, and in particular in every loss that the team has had. So it's like, man, maybe you got to make an adjustment.
But can you adjust to be getting fouled and not getting the calls? I mean, that's part of basketball, and that's a big part of the Aztecs game is drawing fouls, getting to the line. And Ledie got to the line, missed a couple of free throws late. You could tell it just wasn't his best game of the season, and it's going to be hard for the Aztecs to win when that happens. Implications: it was a quad 2 loss, just barely. Because the UNLV is ranked outside the top 75 in the net, but they're like 77. So if they go up, if they win another game, could end up being another quad 1 game. Aztecs didn't drop in the net. They're still 19, still 20 in Ken Palm. So maybe they're still on the 4-seed line, especially if they can win on Friday against Boise State. Don't know what the committee really thinks about that loss. It wasn't a bad loss by any stretch of the imagination, but it would go down technically as the worst loss of the season because it was their only quad 2 or lower loss of the year for San Diego State at this point.
What did you think about the conspiracy theory last night?
Conspiracy theory.
You didn't see this?
I didn't see a conspiracy theory.
From Mark Ziegler in the UT?
The referee was the former BYU baseball coach.
Yep.
And he's actually worked 6 games.
6 games.
And apparently a lot of the calls don't go San Diego State's way when he works the games.
What do you think about that conspiracy theory? Does it
make you mad?
I don't know. I mean, I think part of refereeing is taking away even the appearance of like a conflict of interest, and knowing the history between BYU and San Diego State might be wise not to have their former baseball coach, refereeing games against the team that was the most bitter rival of BYU during the time he was there. Even if it's subconscious, like don't put him in that situation to have to call a San Diego State game.
So you believe in the conspiracy theory?
I'm not saying I believe in the conspiracy theory, but I'm saying it's not a great look for the Mountain West to have that guy assigned to so many San Diego State games. I mean, would you let him work a BYU game?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't think
Sure he has, hasn't he?
I doubt it.
He's
if he's
Mountain
a
West
Mountain
referee.
Well, BYU's
They're
not in the Mountain West. They're in
yeah.
the Big 12.
He's let's see. I'm reading right now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because he coached baseball at BYU, he's got it in for
I'm
San
not
Diego
accusing
State.
him of being like overtly biased.
Subconsciously
But, I mean, if
biased.
you umpired a Dodgers game, even as fair as you tried to be, like if you went in and go, all right, I'm umpiring. It's Dodgers against the Braves, and you're trying to be as fair as possible, but you just kind of see that blue, and it's just kind of. You just kind of subconsciously you don't want them to win.
Oh no, it
like
would
the
not be.
Dodgers.
It would not be.
You would be overtly.
It would be
against
overt.
the Dodgers.
Yeah. Spencer said. So do you also not let him work any WCC games? I thought it was anytime. And look, I'm as guilty as the next guy of coming in here on a Wednesday morning and going. I mean, if Doug Eddings makes the right calls, we win that game. I'm as guilty as the next person. So I don't know that Doug Eddings has anything personally against the Padres. He just seems to have a really bad night behind the plate every time he calls a game. Now, there's some umpires that are just horrible at their jobs. Angel Hernandez, you have to know going into that game, we're going to get rat-effed on a bunch of calls tonight. So plan accordingly. Maybe after 5 games.
You can be mad about it. You can't let it take you out of your own game. You also have to be able to adjust to it. You can be mad about it, but you also have to adjust to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's the other
Dutch
problem.
was pissed, though.
With the win, UNLV improves to 12-5 in the conference. Aztecs fall to 11-6. Utah State plays tonight. They're 12-4. Boise State lost to Nevada last night. Both of those teams are 12-5, which means
What a battle.
the Aztecs dropped to 5th place in the conference with the loss. If they don't win against Boise State, they could end up in 6th place in the Mountain West and not even get a bye in the first round of the Mountain West tournament. That wouldn't be a good situation where you have to play an extra game.
If they lost that one and then got bounced early in the
Yeah,
Mountain
you
West
might drop
tournament,
to a 6 or a 7 seed, which wouldn't be, that would definitely make it a much harder road for San Diego State in the tournament. The odd thing is the way it's shaping up. If the Aztecs beat BYU on Friday, they will likely end up in 4th, and Boise State will likely end up in 5th, and they'll just play again in their very next game in the quarterfinals of the Mountain West tournament. So Aztecs could be facing back-to-back games against Boise State at home and then at the Thomas and Mack Center in UNLV next Thursday if they win their last game on Friday night in a conference that's probably going to end up, as we all expected, decided by one game with like 6 teams all separated by one game in the end. And what do we say? How do you win the conference? You hold serve at home, and you got to steal 1 or 2 of those road games against the top teams. Had the Aztecs stolen 2 games against the top teams, they'd be in first place and control their destiny right now. But they went 0-6. 2-4 would have gotten it done. They went 0-6 against the top teams in the Mountain West. They just had to pull out 2 of those games that they were in the lead or were within 1 possession in the last few minutes of the game, and they'd be hanging another banner at Viejas Arena. But they're eliminated. They can't win a regular season conference title now. No matter what happens, they cannot finish first place in the Mountain West. But they could win the conference tournament, and they could still get a decent top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, a lot still a ton to be excited about if you're an Aztecs fan. I know it's a very, very tough loss, but, your future is still... The next couple of weeks are going to be incredible.
We've seen UConn limp into the NCAA tournament as like a 7 seed and then run to the championship. It only matters.
It's the next level.
If you get hot in 2 weeks. It doesn't really matter whether you're hot now or whether you're cold right now. You want to be hot in 2 weeks when you play in the NCAA tournament. All right, let's take a timeout. Top of the hour. I do want to get to the Padres. As you said, made a move yesterday. They do have at least one pitching concern in spring training with Pedro Avila, who went yesterday against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So get you an update on the Cactus League action, and then we'll play a little take on Woods as well to qualify a trip for Las Vegas. A listener to win a trip to Las Vegas in our next segment. All coming up with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Do the Padres have a bit of a dilemma when it comes to Pedro Avila? Welcome back, hour number 2, Ben and Woods on a Wednesday morning here on 97.3 The Fan. He's been the one guy who has consistently struggled so far in Cactus League play. Now, maybe behind the scenes, Ruben Niebla likes what he's saying, and the results just aren't there. That's
Sure.
always
It's always a possibility.
That's always a possibility in the spring, but the results have not been there. Yesterday, 3 1/3 innings against the Diamondbacks, 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. 3 of those coming on a 3-run home run by Eugenio Suarez, and Avila's ERA is now up to 9.82 this spring.
Yeah, the other thing that's concerning, Benny, he's only got 2 strikeouts in 7 1/3 innings. He's faced a lot more batters than that number suggests. I watched him throw. I told you, I watched a pen with him and Ruben, and there's a spot for him if he executes. And I thought he did a really nice job last year. But, with other guys, it's not only what you do, right? It's not only like the work that you're putting in, it's what the other guys around you are doing that make it very difficult. Now, we may get into that business decision that the San Diego Padres have to make that we talked about yesterday. He doesn't have any options left. And are you willing to risk losing him? Do you have so much in reserve that you can say, all right, man, it didn't work out. Good luck to you. Hope, maybe the Cubs pick you up or something.
So simple solution. You could just make him the swing guy, long guy in the bullpen and go, hey, yeah, if our starter gets knocked out after 3, we just need you to eat 3 or 4 innings, and
you
you
need
could
those
put him
guys.
in that role. However, there's still a cost to that as well. Would you rather keep a guy like Luis Patino, who is also out of options? We haven't gotten to see much from him yet because of his late arrival at spring, but would you have more maybe potential and optimism out of a Luis Patino? How about Stephen Kolek, the Rule 5 draft pick?
I think he makes this team, man.
Well, there's just not that many spots. If he makes the team, then Pedro Avila probably doesn't. And then I will add about Pedro Avila. And he performed well in his limited, 100 innings he's had in the big leagues, however many it's been with the Padres. Wasn't a particularly highly ranked prospect. He struggled in the minor leagues, and then he pitched well when he got to the big leagues with that, adrenaline and Ruben Niebla there. Is Pedro Avila someone you're that worried about losing if another team takes him? Will another team even be interested? I mean, you look at a guy with a 10 ERA in spring. Are other teams lining up to steal Pedro Avila from the Padres if they put him on waivers and designate him for assignment? Or can you get him to pass through waivers, send him down to AAA, and still maybe have him as an option this season to call up at some point?
I think if they put him on waivers, somebody grabs him. And it's not based on his crap spring training. It's based on what he did at the big league level last year. And
that's intriguing enough
100%.
For another team.
Way worse guys get a look.
With the limited amount of pitching that's around.
By the way, a little breaking news in the world of baseball.
Saw that.
Another potential target, a name that's been mentioned a bunch from Padre fans. I don't know how much the front office was interested in Eddie Rosario. Ben, he has now signed a deal with the Washington Nationals, of all teams. It's a split contract. He could earn up to $4 million with incentives.
A split contract?
Don't know what that means.
If he's in the minors, he gets paid less?
Yeah. Maybe.
Is Eddie Rosario that low thought of that they think they might send him down to the minors at some point?
I think
he's not a guy that I heard any insiders ever connecting to the Padres.
Not any insiders, no. But again, one of those guys that's a left-handed bat, right, and can play left field, which, again, we have a bit of a hole there, I think. And I'm already seeing the quote tweets of going, oh, yeah, Padres are totally broke. Maybe they just don't like Eddie Rosario. I have no idea. But there's another guy off the market now.
There were a lot of teams, apparently, that didn't love Eddie Rosario if he ended up going to the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's still, obviously, there's Tommy Pham, there's Brandon Belt. There are some bats that are still available, but they are starting to get a little more few and far between at this point in the spring. We need a contestant for Take on Woods, 833-288-0973. Play our game here in a couple of minutes. Musical trivia qualifying for a trip to Las Vegas.
Some of the other good news, though, out of the Padres game yesterday. Yeah. I mean, Eniel De Los Santos, Adrian Morejon, Robert Suarez, Jeremiah Estrada, all through a scoreless inning.
Bullpen was solid, yeah. 4 2/3 shutout innings.
Suarez had a couple of Ks, which is good and encouraging. That's what you need. Morejon and Estrada both are sporting 0.00 ERAs.
Estrada's another guy that could, bump out an Avila on the 26-man roster as well.
Our pal Brett Sullivan had another nice day, 2 for 3 with a double. Their only extra base hit of the game, by the way. He's trying to keep his hopes alive as a utility player for this team. Graham Paulie, another nice day at the dish, 2 for 3, 2 walks. He looks really, really solid. And I don't know how he's done defensively over at first. I haven't heard anything bad about it. I know he's making a position change as well. And Sugar with another couple of knocks yesterday.
You said there were some defensive issues in the game
Yeah,
yesterday? I didn't see.
Somebody booted. Tyler Wade booted one that led to, I think, the first run for Pedro Avila yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, listen, it happens. Tyler Wade is another guy on the fringes of making this team.
And the Padres made a move yesterday as well.
Yeah, this didn't blow too much hair back around the scene here, Ben. But the Padres added a left-handed bat to camp by adding Brad Miller on a minor league deal. He's 34 years old. He's got 3,000 at-bats in the big leagues. The most production he had a 30-homer season for Tampa in 2016. He was a Texas Ranger last year, by the way.
Oh, got a World Series ring.
Yeah, 27 games, 67 ABs. He batted .214 with a .668 OPS. 21 appearances at DH, 5 at first base, 1 at third. And so he's, we've got guys. We've got Brad Millers. I thought we had enough Brad Millers.
But we have Brad Millers for days.
Brad Millers for galore. A bevy, if you will, of Brad Millers.
Now we have outfield Brad Millers. We have Oscar Machado and
Sure.
Cal Mitchell. They're all.
We've got infield Brad Millers.
Yeah, all right.
We got Tyler Wade.
Tucupita
and
Marcano.
Marcano's an outfielder, though, I think. He's an outfielder.
I think he can play both.
I think he can play both. So yeah, but listen, I don't know what the impetus behind this was, but they'll give him a look and see what happens.
Mason
Again,
McCoy.
3,000 big league ABs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously AJ must have seen something he liked
This
to
is
get
like
a late invite to camp, because it's hard to make the team at this juncture.
Very, yeah.
But something that he saw that he wanted to add to the mix for the San Diego Padres. So you brought up Graham Paulie. I wanted to just mention, because he did have 2 more hits. Mike Schilt did say
And 2 walks.
Did say this week, though, that he is hesitant to bring up any of the young prospects if they're not going to get regular playing time.
Yeah.
Is there regular playing time for a guy like Graham Paulie?
I don't think so.
I mean, if Jake Cronenworth struggles and they need someone at first base who can hit, sure. I mean, you can plug him in, 4 or 5 days a week at first base or at designated hitter as a left-hander if you can make him the everyday guy. But if Manny's going to be DHing and you're going to need someone else at third base, I don't know if there's enough
He's
at-bats.
a third baseman, though. That's the funny thing.
He hasn't played much third in spring.
He hasn't played
though.
much third in spring. If Manny's going to start the season not on the shelf but in the DH, why don't you...
Batten's been struggling.
He's
at the
been
plate.
dying, man. He's been dying right now. You
got Eggy still who can play third if you need him.
Paso.
If Manny's going to be DHing to start the season, is Graham Paulie potentially that option as well? Not sure, but this goes for Jacob Marcy and even Jackson Merrill. They don't want to bring a guy up if they're going to just be on the bench most days. They need those guys to play on an everyday basis. So if one of those guys makes the team, expect them to be a starter, a regular starter for the San Diego Padres. If it's Merrill, if it's Marcy, if it's Paulie, if they're on the team, it's because the Padres anticipate them as an everyday player for the most part.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they have to go back down to the minors and get their at-bats. You do not want to hamper the development of a 20-year-old, a 23-year-old, because your roster's kind of so thin that you just need them as depth on the big league roster. So that's what Cal Mitchell's and Oscar Mercado's are for.
Yeah.
You don't worry necessarily about not playing them for a week, but you worry a lot about not playing Marcy or Paulie or
100%,
Martorella
because they're going
or
to get
Merrill for a week.
They're going to get freaking 25 ABs a week in AAA or AA or single A or wherever they go. I mean, they're going to get 25, 30 ABs a week. So that's how you develop a player. It's not by sitting on the bench at the big league level hoping to get a pinch hit appearance here and there. They need ABs. And Mike Schilt told us that. They need ABs.
Had an outstanding game of Take on Woods yesterday. Our first contestant
One of my favorite
qualifying
games we've ever
That was
played.
really
for
good.
Las Vegas
Yeah.
was really good. Let's see if we can do it again. It is time for Take on Woods. Take on Woods brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. We got Ralph on the line. Good morning, Ralph. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. All right, let's see if we can qualify
how
you.
are you?
Let's see if we can qualify you for the trip for two to the Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and a $150 dinner credit as well. You can check out the timeless design and unparalleled service at FontainebleauLasVegas.com. All right, here are the categories today. You get your choice. Drive time. 5 bands or artists who all released a song called Drive. Beach Party, 5 answers with things you'd likely find at the beach. And cities and states. Those are 5 answers with either city or state in them. So, drive time, beach party, or cities and states. Ralph, what's it going to be?
We're going to go drive time.
Drive time. All right, maybe you did a little research on this. Today, we are looking for 5 bands or artists who all released a song simply called Drive. It's a very popular song title out there. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many of the 5 as you can. We'll start with our 2-second song. You already know what it's called, so you really only need to identify the band. I've already told you what the song titles are called today, so it should be pretty easy on that front. 60 seconds on the clock. Ralph, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. The category drive time. Good luck, Ralph. Let's take on Woods.
My favorite band, Incubus, Drive.
That is correct. It seems only appropriate that which Hall of Fame band top charting hit was called Drive, sung by bassist Benjamin Orr.
Pass.
Which iconic band's 1992 song Drive was the lead single on their Automatic for the People album?
Repeat that?
Which iconic band's 1992 song Drive was the lead single on their Automatic for the People album?
Oh, REM.
Correct. Which artist recently celebrated the 10-year anniversary of her Bangers album, including the singles Drive and Wrecking Ball?
Oh, Miley Cyrus.
Correct. 2016's Brand New is the top song for which pop, rock, and folk artist who also has a charting single called Drive?
Pass. What is it?
It seems only appropriate that which Hall of Fame band's top charting hit was called Drive. Oh, time is up on the Benjamin Orr question. That was the Cars and their song called Drive. You did get 3 of the 5. You got Incubus, REM, and Miley Cyrus. Ben Rector, I think that's the toughest one at the end. You didn't get. 3 is an interesting score. Hang on the line, Ralph. It could hold up. It could not hold up. We'll see. Woods doesn't get the category. We'll reset everything. 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Ralph.
It's Incubus, and the name of the song is crap. I'll come back to it. Pat.
It seems only appropriate that which Hall of Fame band's top charting hit was called Drive, sung by bassist Benjamin Orr?
That's the Cars.
Correct.
And the Incubus song is also Drive.
It is. Which iconic band's 1992 song Drive was the lead single on their Automatic for the People album?
REM.
Correct. Which artist recently celebrated the 10-year anniversary of her Bangers album, including the singles Drive and Wrecking Ball?
Miley Cyrus.
Correct. 2016's Brand New is the top song for which pop, rock, and folk artist who also has a charting single called Drive?
Brand New. Say the question again.
2016's Brand New is the top song for which pop, rock, and folk artist who also has a charting single called Drive?
No idea.
Tough one. That's a tough one. But you did win 4-3 over Ralph.
Ralph, sorry about
Tough game. That was Ben Rector is the last one.
Hardly know her.
But all bands with singles called
Who is Ben Rector?
Drive. You'd know Brand New, I think, if you heard it. But I don't know that you'd know his version of Drive. They're all different songs, actually. Drive by Incubus, Drive by the Cars, Drive by REM, Drive by Miley Cyrus, and Drive by Ben Rector.
I've never heard of Ben Rector, I don't think.
Fair enough.
Do you know Ben Rector?
I've heard that song Brand New before.
Okay.
I wouldn't have ever known who it was attached to. Hey, when you're looking for 5 songs called Drive, sometimes you got to reach a little bit deeper.
Well, baby, you can drive my car.
No,
They have to be
every
called
song was
just
simply
Drive.
called Drive. There was they all had a song just called Drive. Ralph, thank you for playing. Didn't go your way today.
Sorry,
but
Ralph.
We've got
Nice
a whole
game, though.
month here still to try to qualify for that trip to Las Vegas.
Well, I walked in, the vibes, Yeah, I thought the guy threw up a 0. You guys
No,
were
3. He's solid.
Yesterday when
He
I
loved
walked in,
Incubus.
you guys were
He said favorite band, Incubus. So he got that one right off the bat.
I know the song, obviously. I could not remember the name.
He just couldn't get the cars of all the 4 drives. He got REM and Miley Cyrus, but could not get the cars. And
Love
neither
that
of you
song.
got Ben Rector.
Hardly know her.
All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. Don't Do This is coming up next. A lot of people talking about MLB The Show
Good Lord, man.
yesterday.
The irony is so rich and thick. You could eat it with a spoon. That's how rich and thick and creamy the irony from yesterday
And
was.
I would love to discuss a topic that is always big in San Diego. Stadium
burritos.
renderings.
Oh, rendering.
Fish tacos.
Fish tacos.
Renderings. Not for us, though. These came out of Las Vegas and the A's. That's coming up next after a check of traffic with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Did you know you can listen to 97.3 The Fan with your smart speaker? Ask your device to play 97.3 The Fan to give it a shot. Well, let's don't do this. And the Oakland A's are always an easy target in this segment of late. And yesterday, they finally, after months, released the first renderings of what they hope will be their new Las Vegas stadium at the current site of the Tropicana Hotel and Casino. Paulie's put them up on the YouTube stream. First problem, they had to turn off the comments on the tweet.
Well, so hold on. The A's have had their comments off for weeks.
Yes.
Which is embarrassing in and of its own right. Like, that's all.
That's
That's
already embarrassing. Now, the designs that were released.
Now, where are they going to be hoping to play?
This year,
Like,
the
this year,
Coliseum.
no.
Next
But
year.
When they move.
Either Sacramento.
No. Permanently. Las Vegas?
Las Vegas, yeah. Where the Tropicana is, right across
Right.
from Excalibur and
Not
MGM
Australia.
Grand.
Correct.
The same corner.
Not
where
in Sydney.
New York, Excalibur, and MGM Grand are the other three. And then their corner would be the A's Stadium, which, yeah. One of the reasons it was dragged is they basically copied the Sydney Opera House in its design.
Dumped a baseball field into the middle of the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah, and maybe they're going to put up like an Australian theme. I mean, would you stay at the Outback Casino and Hotel? Because that's what it looks like they're going to do there. A nice
probably would.
Australian thing. If they throw another shrimp on the bobby for you.
I'm an Outback fan.
But there were a number of reasons why the A's were also dragged for this design.
So bad.
This is a knife. Craig Calcaterra pointed out they don't have any lights that they put in the design. Now they can address that a little bit later.
So
That
it's
was-
all AI.
No stadium lights.
There's no stadium
There's no
lights.
stadium
I didn't even
lights.
notice that.
There's no stadium lights at all. So
Just ambient lighting.
We're just
It's
gonna,
Vegas.
We're just going to play all day games, apparently, in the 100-degree heat. Now, here's the other problem. It's covered, but it's not a complete dome.
It's like a
so
tent.
It looks like a greenhouse, actually.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how hot a greenhouse is going to get in the middle of summer in
Very
Las
cool.
Vegas?
Very smart.
Because there's a giant window out in left field. Now,
Because they want you to be able to see the strip.
okay, now I know my geography. Do you know which direction that giant window faces based on their designs? West. So the setting sun every single day is
Right in
just
the
going to
batter's
be
eye.
burning right through this giant window that they have designed.
That's not. Is that not open air or is that a window?
No, that's a window.
That's
Now,
a window.
see the window?
Okay.
It's like 17 million windows.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
There's
Now,
a bunch of beaks running
Just
into
like
it.
First time I saw it.
magnifying glasses.
I thought it was open air with a tent.
like cooking the fans.
I thought it was like where you would go see Cascade play at Coachella. I thought it was just like one of those tents.
Now, they also, as they do, they added all these little like features to make it look real, including a scoreboard that had the A's lineup. And I loved this
Did you
one.
see Brent Rooker?
Yeah,
Oh,
so Foolish Baseball tweeted, "Oh, this render is completely unrealistic. I like Brent Rooker, but there's no way he profiles as a 303 hitter, which is what they had his batting average on the
I
fake
hate
scoreboard."
people. Imagine tweeting that. I hate people.
And then Brent Rooker gets a hold of it, former Padre. He tweets out, "Just out here trying to enjoy my off day, but instead I'm catching strays based on an artist's drawing of my hypothetical batting average several years down the road."
so brilliant. It's all the AI generations. There's a guy with a backwards 24 on his jersey. There's an umpire who's standing there with no gear. He's also wearing baseball pants, which you never know, could happen in the future. But he has like long black dish gloves
You better
on.
see those strike calls out there to really
It is.
accentuate them.
It's unbelievable. Now, all that being said, are we not excited about going to Padres A's in Las Vegas when that does happen? And let's be honest, over under stay there for
Not
2
if
innings.
it's going to be 142 degrees in the greenhouse with the sun cooking me the entire afternoon.
That's true.
No.
That's true. I mean, it's, we always like a new
I
stadium.
see a lot of baseball people yesterday who said there is a 0.0% chance that this thing actually gets built on the corner of the Las Vegas Strip.
So we're gonna do this a little bit differently. We're gonna do this here, if you would.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
So yesterday, MLB tweeted out, "Everyone has major league dreams. Now it's your time to unlock them." Announcing Road to the Show, women pave their way, a new way to play MLB The Show's Road to the Show as a female player. So I saw this and went, my initial reaction was, oh, awesome. Why wouldn't that be my reaction? Let me clue you guys in. As a T-ball coach, at Encinitas Little League. Do you know how many girls are in our league? We have a ton. There's an all-girls team. There's a ton of girls that like baseball. This may shock a lot of people out there. But that's the do this, that they're doing that mode. So when you do, Ben, you probably never played MLB The Show. You can create your own player. So the don't do this I couldn't believe the thousands of men that got so upset that, by the way, it's not like you buy MLB The Show and you're like, great, I got to be a woman now. You can create, the option's there to select male, female. You can just play the road to the show. You can create your own, like when I create Steven Woods, third baseman. He's 6'1", 185. He's yoked.
99 everything.
He 95 speed. Like, he's a really good player.
I saw videos where you can make players basically float
Fly
in the air, fly
you
in the air.
So, like, the thing is, like, why are you guys, like, one guy was like, can't you women let us have one effing thing? And it's like, but you can. You can. So you're telling me you can create your character, Johnny Ballsack, that's 6'4", 320 pounds with 100+ power, and you're upset about this.
Yeah,
I
think
don't
saw
understand.
someone tweet, yeah, women totally unrealistic as I try to win my 10th consecutive season-long championship as the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, turning off all of the salary restrictions and everything else. Like, come on, bro. It's just people get very creased about stuff these days.
I don't usually do this, but I'm going to lay a little hint down. Tomorrow's Real or Fake is going to be MLB The Show related.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Just a little.
That's such a 24-hour tease.
That's a 24-hour tease.
Speaking of create a player, you want to know something I did when I was a kid? On my Nintendo 64, I had a wrestling game. I think it was WWF No Mercy. And you could play as all the wrestlers. You could also create a wrestler.
Of course.
And, do the whole thing there. I would create wrestlers with the names and looks of people that I hated, like at school,
And beat the S out of them.
and make them like 0 ratings on everything,
Yeah.
and beat the
Just
ever-loving
I did the
S
same
out
with
of
Mike
them.
Tyson, but I pretended like Glass Joe was this guy that I hated.
Yeah.
And I would just, you murdered Glass
Paul
Joe.
Reindl to the counselor's office, please. Paul Reindl to the
No, I
counselor's
was doing this from the privacy of
office.
my own
Yeah,
home.
no, it's great.
It was bullying, but they didn't know.
Yeah.
It was a great way to get frustration out.
No, it's great. It's great. Easy.
It's a healthy outlet, is
It
what
is.
you're saying.
Yeah,
as
it
long as you
is.
don't do it in real life, like stuff someone's jacket into a toilet.
Correct. That's
I
something
also did that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he
no,
was a
he did.
bully, I think.
Yeah,
that
he
guy.
was. He was
I'm
a
fine
jerk.
with bullying
But
bullies. Is
wasn't
fine.
then Paul also a bully then?
No.
At the same time.
It was
Bullying
in
bullies is
retaliation.
different than
You're
being
standing up to a
It's
bully.
punching
You're
back,
not
not
a bully.
throwing the
punching
first
back.
punch.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
That's don't do and don't do this for Wednesday.
Indeed.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
So Paulie just shared some information with us. He did a massive amount of imaging. He's our imaging director.
I actually said to Paulie yesterday, this Adam might kill me.
It's
for this
all
one.
Padres related. You're going to hear from some Padres.
Woods called me in the middle of my afternoon of imaging directoring yesterday.
How hard did I laugh on the phone?
You're going to hear from some
you
Padres
cut out
players.
because you were laughing so
I
hard.
cut out. I
I
was
couldn't
laughing so
hear
hard.
you.
It's possible Adam is going to take a couple of
Shots.
shots based on what may or may not have happened yesterday.
Don't worry, boss. It's easily fixable. I've got a fix for you. Wait till you hear these.
Oh, great. This is coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
at 97.3 The Fan on the Ben and Woods program. A lot. There's a lot going on. And we'll have an answer on a couple of things, hopefully by Friday, is the word that I've been told from the big boss himself, Adam Klug. He of his current gout. He is suffering from gout.
Poor guy.
His poor foot, and now we're going to just take gratuitous shots at him on the air as usual.
Well, obviously he's got a lot to do.
Yeah,
he's
a lot
got
on his
multiple shows, a whole station to keep track of, and there's a lot of work that goes into the start of baseball season, especially.
Tons.
And a lot of that work has fallen on the plate of our colleague in the mornings here, Paul Reindl, our executive producer, our longtime friend, who has also added the title of imaging director here in the last few months at 97.3 The Fan. And we'll discuss the extent of what was on his plate yesterday and what mistakes might have been made, not by Paulie, but maybe by Adam Klug after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
I love you, Adam.
I love you, man.
From the
So sorry.
97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danek.
Got an accident involving a motorcycle now on eastbound King Freeway at Euclid. It's over to the right shoulder. Collision blocking the HOV lane, southbound 5 Coastline. We're right before La Costa. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So yeah, I over the last almost a year now, I guess a little over half a year, I've become the imaging director here at 97.3 The Fan. And what that basically means is I create a lot of the promos, we call it imaging, that you'll hear throughout the station. And this is one of the busy times of the year, like Ben said, getting ready for a baseball season in particular. We're the Padres flagship. There's a lot that comes with that, but it's also the start of football season or the start of, SDSU basketball season.
Sure.
You might hear Coach Dutcher rejoins or something like that. Those are things that we have to do. I've made a million of these during the NFL season.
All this radio
Josh
terminology.
Allen and the Buffalo Bills will look to strengthen their status as Super Bowl contenders.
So you don't
when-
voice them.
That's
but
not that's not
We
Paulie's
send it off
voice.
to our voice guy.
You get
and
raw
then
audio.
I put it all together,
Right.
and it's like, hey, listen to Sunday Night Football on 97.3 The Fan.
So yesterday I called Paulie. I was on my way to pick up Taylor from school, just checking in. What are we thinking for tomorrow? And he just sounded wrecked. And I'm like, "You good?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, what's going on? He's like, "I'm doing promos." And I just started laughing, and he goes, "I think we might have a semi problem here." And I said, "Oh no, explain it to me." So he did, and I started cackling so bad. I mean, so bad in the car. I was laughing so hard. I go, "Oh no. So what happens is Adam will take the copy, right? The piece of paper, send it with, I'm assuming with Sammy Levitt, and Sammy's probably the one that got
know.
all these. But
Maybe somebody from the team.
maybe somebody from the team. You have Manny on. And you say, "Manny, will you read this quick liner?" And hey, it's Manny Machado from the San Diego Padres. You're listening to 97.3 The Fan, home of the Padres, right? You send that copy off, and they read
You
it.
hear those rejoiners before Jesse and Tony
Yeah.
during the games. Pretty much every single segment. Want to get as many of them as possible.
That's what I was making. I was making a lot lot of rejoins, and I was making a lot of legal IDs.
In fact, you made 81 promos yesterday. 81 promos.
Yeah, I absolutely could have broken that up into several days, but
Sure.
Megan works from the office on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So I have the whole day and the office area or desk set up. Like I can just I don't have to worry about putting on headphones because that's annoying to have to listen to me editing sound for 5 hours. So I wanted to just knock it all out yesterday. That way I can kind of relax today.
Right.
So I did 81 promos yesterday. And these were a lot of like newer players, either brand new, like acquired in a Juan Soto trade, or guys that we just didn't get last year.
Sure.
So I will start with kind of the raw audio and give you an example of what I had to work with. Here's Luis Campusano.
Hi, this is Luis Campusano.
Right.
Okay.
That's a
You're
word
listening to Padres Baseball on the Padres Radio Network.
Sounds totally natural, not like he's reading it all.
part. Right.
I
And
mean,
then
yeah,
I
you-
would take that and then
they're not
made-
actors. That's not their skill set, to put a dramatic read into it. Hey, Luis, can you make it sexy? You're just out. Just read what's on the sheet of paper.
hurry up.
That's all
Make
you
it
have to
done
do.
quick.
Make it spooky.
Make it spooky.
Make it your own. Make it your own, Luis.
Make it presidential.
So that would be a 5-second player rejoin that you're going to hear during Padres broadcasts throughout the season. Coming back from commercial break, you'll hear.
Hi, this is Luis Camposano. You're
Paulie
listening to
puts the spice
Padres
on it.
Baseball on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, it's middle of the, bottom of the fourth inning.
Yeah.
Jesse Aguilar. Okay.
Yeah, we're
So
back.
That was the first one.
So Paulie tells me on the phone, he goes, I think we have a slight problem. And I go, well, what is the problem? He said, well, I played Camposano's audio at first, and he said
There's a second part that each player had to read
there's a second part.
because we have to make legal IDs. And this is what Luis Camposano said.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 station, 97.3 The Fan.
He left out a word.
The sports.
That's just one word.
#1 sports
It's all right.
station.
I mean, he's not a radio pro. He's a pro catcher. That's
So he
not his
must
job.
have he
just
must have
skipped over.
skipped
a word.
over
I
a
do
word.
it. I'm a pro, and I do it all the time.
It
No
happens.
big deal, Luis.
So
Hi, this is Brett Sullivan
So Paulie
on the
plays next
Padres Radio Network.
And then he had another one. Like, again, I started going through this, like listening to other players.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 station, 97.3 The Fan.
Like at first,
Again,
I thought
very
maybe
natural. Is that Marlon Brando on the line that we had?
I thought maybe Camposano like just
Skipped a
missed
word.
the word,
Sure.
but he didn't.
He heard another one.
And then there were more like.
Hi, this is Michael King. You're listening to Padres Baseball on the Padres Radio Network.
Fine.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 station, 97.3 The Fan.
So at this point,
So
I
then
go,
now you start the haunches get up a little bit.
I don't think every player missed this word, and I go, I think somebody might have gotten the wrong copy, and I don't know who is to blame. I don't know if Adam sent over the wrong copy. I don't know if Sammy or a member of the Padres staff printed off the wrong copy. I'm not sure, but I called Adam and just said, hey,
You told him. What was
Here's
his
what-
response?
well, that's frustrating.
I
And
laughed.
I go, look, technically,
I laughed so hard.
that's not inaccurate.
It's not inaccurate, but that could change,
But
man.
that could
you
change.
know?
That's a lot of pressure,
Every
though.
month.
You're putting it in the
Pressure on us.
promos, month to month, and a lot of competition out there.
Yeah. So when you put it all together, this is like go back to Campy.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hi, this is Luis Camposano.
No doubter for Camposano.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 station, 97.3 The Fan.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Now I tried to
You
get
really
creative.
jazzed that up, Paulie.
Yeah,
That's
it's
nice.
very-
Thank you.
jazzed up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I tried to, if I could, based on the cadence of each player,
Right.
I would try to splice things up and,
Yeah.
and make it sound a little bit better and just maybe eliminate a sentence there entirely.
Right.
But a lot of guys talk fast
Yeah.
and you can't, words connect to the next word. It's tough to splice it. I was able to do it like with Matt Waldron.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hi, this is Matt Walden.
And now a career high
This is
6
Matt Waldron.
strikeouts for Matt Waldron. He's done it in just 3 innings.
The Padres play here on 97.3 The Fan.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
It's so good. Now, I suggested that I could go in and just add my voice to it. To each one. We'll go in and I'll just say sports. Sports. So like it would sound like this
Oh, hang on.
if we did it.
Sports.
Sports.
You got to give me a second.
I mean, Paulie already has me saying sports many times.
Yeah, but-
Here's what I'm afraid of. Adam's going to now email Sammy Levitt today and say, "Hey, can you go out to the field and get Michael King, Camposano, Azokar, and get them all to just say sports, and then send them to Paul, and then
He can
he
Frankenstein
can
it up.
Paulie
and,
splice them in.
I
You should
mean-
put mine in there. So
Let's just see how this
sports.
sounds.
All right, ready?
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hi, this is Luis Camposano.
No doubter for Camposano.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1
Sports.
station,
I
97.3
think
The
it
Fan.
sounds
Always
so
live on the
good.
free Odyssey app.
I think it's so good. Adam right now is
All right, Adam.
He's sending
he
the
texting you?
receipts. Yeah, he's got this. Here is the script. It says.
Well, first he says, "My foot's feeling better, by the way, guys. Thanks for asking."
Good.
He did. He sent over the copy. And
There's
sports,
no way they all skipped sports.
It's the last word of the second line. #1 sports station.
I'm looking at the copy that he sent over. He sent a screenshot. It says
He
the
could've-
Padres play
he
here
could've-
on San.
He could have manipulated this.
Diego's #1 sports. Next line, station, comma, 97.3 The Fan.
I'm actually surprised they didn't read it like this. Hi, I'm Michael King. The Padres play here on San. Diego's #1 sports. Station 97.3 The Fan, because that's how it's written out. Holy cow, dude. Well, Diesel says just make 97.3 The Fan the #1 station in San Diego. It is, but that could change. I mean, ratings are fickle. You
don't want to get cocky with that.
You don't want to start beating your
Maybe
chest
Adam's
about
like
it.
trying to put pressure on all of us to be our best to make sure that Paulie's promos remain accurate all season long.
I'm telling you, if they all skipped that word, then that's obviously on them.
Hi, this is Jackson Merrill. The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 station, 97.3
There's no way. There's no effing
single
way. There's
one,
no way.
Not one player
There's
said
no way.
on San Diego's #1 sports station,
There is
97.3
no
The
chance.
Fan.
They all missed it. None.
Is it possible that the Padres have like a smudgy printer or something?
Potentially,
and then,
but
like that word got omitted somehow.
That is unbelievable. So poor Paulie's in there cranking out 80. And then what does Adam say? Can you mix them up a little bit?
Well, that's why it was so many.
I want 3 of each. And I was like, how do you make 3?
I had to do 5 seconds, 10-second ones, and 15-second ones, and it's the right way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not
Attention to
arguing
detail,
with him.
baby. Attention to detail. We love it.
Rather than just having one 15-second liner, if you mix up the music beds or something, or a different highlight from Jesse, maybe.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it sounds a little fresher.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
They can last longer. So I made 3 of each.
3 of
times
each.
3 different promos. That's 9 per player. There were 9 players. That is 81 promos.
That is unfreaking believable. Paul Reindl, MV Paul, ladies and gentlemen, incredible work yesterday. I really have a hard time believing that every player just decided to skip the same word.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1
sports
station, 97.3 The Fan.
Now, you're the imaging director. Can you sneak one of those in to play on rotation throughout the year?
I could.
I think it would be genius.
Might
People
give
have
Dave
heard, now
Marcus a heart attack if he hears that on the
people
air.
have now heard it. They're going to want to hear it, throughout the season.
Well, actually, no, because now I'll have to go back and do that for every single one. I'm not doing that.
Actually, I like that. Can you make 81 more
Nope,
of those?
they are already signed, sealed, and delivered, uploaded. Those are done.
I love fun with audio, man. I really do. It delights me like nothing else. Oh, great work, Paulie. Great work.
I wonder if we can get like you, Darvish, and his translator to do one together as well. I mean, we don't want to discriminate against any of the players. I want them all to have an equal opportunity to have their voices heard here on 97.3 The Fan.
San Diego's #1 station.
97.3 The Fan.
So bad.
It just sucks because the rest of the branding on our station
Says sports
97.3 The Fan, San Diego's
You want to
#1
remain
sports station.
somewhat consistent
Right.
in your branding.
Like, again, they're not inaccurate. Right now,
This
today,
moment,
at
correct.
this moment in
Could
time,
change.
it is true.
Our last
But you
station
don't wanna
was
tempt the radio gods,
San
man.
Diego's sports
Leader.
leader, is what they said.
Yeah, and then when we came here, we used to say San Diego's #1 sports leader.
We said we said San Diego's only FM station, sports
FM
station,
sports station.
Right.
It was a low bar.
which was also true. There was only one.
There was only one. That's true.
It delighted me to no end. So you're done. You don't have any more promos or anything to do.
Not for a little while.
For a couple weeks.
I make like all the game promos. Like
Yeah.
you'll hear them during our show when we go to break or something. Padres, Giants tonight at 7:05 or whatever.
Nightmare.
As expected, Yuki Matsui threw in the bullpen yesterday as he returns from his back spasms, issues, whatever it was. He was scheduled to throw 20 pitches, actually threw 30 pitches, which seems like a positive sign. I saw some of the video of that. Sammy had some of it posted on our social media accounts. I think he said he didn't go all out. Like he wasn't like game speed, like throwing as hard as he could, and that's the next step that he'll have to hurdle he'll need to pass, and then hopefully there's enough time to get him in a couple of exhibition games before the start of the season. But it does feel like, and AJ Cassavell wrote about this, that whatever, for good or ill, Robert Suarez seems to be the guy who is ticketed for the bulk of the ninth inning save opportunities. Maybe
Sure.
not all of them, and not just, 4 in a row. Eventually, like any closer, you're going to need a day off. But there may be some matchups where you might pick a different guy. But for the most part, he was signed with the idea that he would be the successor to Josh Hader. And they haven't seen anything that, even a couple of struggling outings in spring training, haven't seen anything that's going to change their mind from Robert Suarez being the first option in the 9th inning for the Padres this season.
I mean, until he's can't go or is ineffective or whatever. But nice to have, I guess, a couple of different options down there. I think Wandy Peralta. I think there's a couple of guys down there that could probably close a game if needed. And as we know very well here, we don't see the closer. Suarez is a little different than Josh Hader, but you're not going to see the closer 5 nights in a row.
Andy and Craig were going through some of the numbers, which were interesting on Suarez on their show yesterday. That the big difference between end of 2022 Robert Suarez, he was absolutely lights out until the Bryce Harper home run, and 2023 Suarez was really the fastball that batters did much better. They were hitting like 160 against the fastball in 2022. It went up to like 240. 245 in 2023. The changeup was devastating still. I think batters hit like 080 against the changeup last year. It just wasn't getting set up quite as well with the fastball last season. That's kind of where the margins lie for Robert Suarez. He's got to get that fastball located. Obviously, he's got tons of velocity on it. He can touch triple digits essentially with that fastball, but big league hitters can hit a triple-digit fastball if it's not located right,
100%.
Or if you're trying to nibble too much and you're walking batters, you're going to get yourself in trouble as well. So that fastball has to set up that changeup for Robert Suarez. If he does, going to be one of the tougher guys to hit in a bullpen in Major League Baseball, and that'll be one of the keys, obviously, for the Padres to have late-inning success is a bit of a bounce back for Robert Suarez this season.
Yeah, it's very, very necessary, Benny. You don't want to cough up too many of those late inning games, and Robert Suarez, until he can't do it, I think he's going to be the guy to start the season in that role. And again, certainly other guys down there that can get the job done as well. I'm pretty encouraged by what I've seen out of the bullpen so far in spring training. Now we all know different story when the clock strikes Korea, and we'll see what happens.
Tick Korea.
I hope we have a situation for a save in one of the Korea games. That'd be fantastic. That's literally my bar right now. One save opportunity is my bar for the Korea series.
We'll sign up for it right now.
Yeah, nothing would make me happier than coming in the next morning and be like, can you believe they went with so-and-so for the save?
Right. I just want the opportunity to have 3 outs to win a game. That's what I want.
All right. Third hour of Ben and Woods. We'll reset the show. Tier 1 tour coming up as well. Next on 97.3 The Fan, San Diego's #1 sports station.
Gorgeous station. Fires me up every time. Welcome back, Ben and Woods. We're halfway home on a Wednesday. Thanks so much for being here. Benny has been obsessing about the numbers of viewers this morning. I've never heard you mention the viewer count. There's a lot of people watching. Don't let it get in your head, right? Just continue to be you. Do your own.
You feeling pressure right now?
Yeah. He's like, man, the numbers are climbing. People are watching a lot, listening on the radio.
Because I promise you, there's more people listening in their cars or on the app that we can't get that immediate number live in real time.
Correct.
But when you're streaming on YouTube
You
now,
can see it.
and Twitter and Twitch and Facebook, like we're on all the platforms now with the video stream, and that you can see that number.
Don't let it dome you out.
It would dome me out if it was a low number.
Yeah. I've seen some podcasts recently and thought, oh.
If we were doing our show right now and I looked over and I saw that there were 6 people watching, I wouldn't do it. That's way too much effort.
It's a waste of my time. If I ever, I'll give you permission for this, Benjamin. Down the road, who knows what happens with this show? We got a 3-year deal left. We got 3 years left. And if we split or whatever happens, and I'm on my own in my house doing a podcast and 6 people are watching, you have permission to come over to my house, hit me over the head with a frying pan, and take my microphone away. Okay?
Yeah. I'm not stressed out. Do I look like I'm stressed out about it?
It's more of just it's interesting because you've never really looked at him before. I think it's you sound great. You're looking great.
Appreciate that.
Just don't let it get in your head. I just snotted.
No. Audience is a good thing in this business. I am well aware of the fact that.
Would it dome you out?
That's what you're going for.
If you were on the news at night and there was like a counter and you could see how many people were watching. I like to forget that we're on the air sometimes. And
I
just
think
have
what
fun.
I've talked about this before. I think what domes you out more on TV is imagining what the people are doing while they're watching you.
Oh, that bothers you?
Well, I'm on at 11:25 at night.
I think people are like getting busy while you're on the TV.
There's no doubt in my mind that pretty much every single time that I am on television, someone has the TV on and they're doing it. Yeah, they're doing it while I'm talking on television in their room.
Like
Ben Higgins doing
11
sports.
PM Channel 10 news.
Well, him on there.
I'm not saying I'm the one putting them in the mood. I'm just saying it's going on while I am delivering the sports at night.
People are getting a little morning delight.
With
Ben and Woods.
with Ben and Woods on the radio. It's
All right.
possible.
Tweet us or put in the chat if you've ever made love with us on the air. I have to know about it. I need to know.
You know
I
what?
want to
Call in. 833-288-0973.
Even if you're in the middle of it.
You're laying in bed with your wife. You wake up. Hey, Alexa, turn on 97.3 The Fan, and then
I can't.
Sexy time.
I can listen to music. I like music on, but I have to turn the TV off. I don't want to hear Jurassic Park in the background. You know what I mean? Or Spider-Man that my kids left on.
That's perfect. Why wouldn't you want the Jurassic Park theme going?
Yeah, it's more like that. 3 minutes in heaven. I just think that. So you really think at night? So when you've actually thought about it, I'm Ben Higgins for Channel 10 Sports. You have thought in your head someone is making love to their significant other.
Matthew says in the chat, I have definitely gotten down in the morning with the show on.
BS. There is no way. There is no way.
I think it's more people just, you can't reach the remote or something. It's not. You're not going to interrupt everything. Wait, can we mute it? Can you find, where's the remote? It falls through the cushions. You can't find it. You're not stopping just to turn me off or mute me. So there I am, doing the sports.
Daniel says, no offense,
in the bedroom.
boys, but it's not possible to get a
right
while listening to this show.
There's no chance.
I agree.
There's nothing sexy.
I'm not
about this
offended
show.
by that at all. I get it.
I mean, Ben's voice is pretty sexy. Mine's very high and nasally when I hear it back. But yours is very deep and
I wouldn't say you have a high
it's
voice.
Very.
You have a scratchy voice, which
I?
is good. Sounds like you've had some hard living in your voice.
Oh,
I don't sound like I have a lot of
yours
hard
is very
living in my voice.
Syrupy and smooth. I guess I never thought about that until he just brought it up. That somebody is rolling over in the morning and they got Ben and Woods on and they decide, why not?
Now's as good a time as ever.
I couldn't think of a worse show to listen to than ours, or any really. Like, I don't want to hear Stephen A. Smith in the background. I don't want to hear Levitard. I don't want to hear anybody. Nobody.
Babe, it's time for Padres wrap up.
Right. Padres wrap-ups on. Like, there's just no way.
Tony says Ben does not have a low voice.
Ben has a very low voice.
I don't think I'm a bass, but I'm down more in the baritone range, right?
Jay, man, I can't imagine Morning Wood with this show on. It's an instant killer. I mean, an instant killer for me.
You're Morning Woods.
Diego says, me and Jill all morning listening to Ben. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe. There's no way. One guy said he's done it. Matthew said he's done it, but
Roman says, I've definitely done the deed while Ben and Woods is on.
it's incredible.
That's interesting.
We're in people's bedrooms.
That is so weird to me.
We're also in their cars. We're in lots of places.
We have a phone call?
We do. I have no idea what it's about.
What if they're...
Oh. No,
they're in the car. All right.
Well, I hope that
Good morning.
that's not what this is about.
Who's this?
Is this Eric?
Hello? Eric?
Encinitas?
Accelerating Eric.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
You're on the air, so keep it clean.
I've never made this sexy watching you guys, but I'm in my car all the time listening to you guys.
Ah, come on, dog. I think we have to dump that.
I did.
It made me laugh, though. It made me laugh. Did you know what he was inferring?
I did not.
He did the sound.
Oh.
Do you know what that means? No, he still has no idea.
Chewing gum.
No,
while
not
we're
chewing
watching,
gum.
Listening to the show.
I will explain it to you when we get off the air.
Okay. Why am I not surprised that is what happened when we took that call?
This is incredible, Eric. I don't really know where to go from there.
I will take over for a moment and just shout out to our good friend Sammy Levitt, who should join us in about an hour. He took my recommendation.
Oh,
and
God, you were so
went
so
to the
excited.
Italian restaurant that I recommended that he go to yesterday, Andreoli's Italian Grocery in Scottsdale, because it's right by the Salt River Fields complex where the Rockies and Diamondbacks play, and the Padres were playing the Diamondbacks yesterday, and he had posted his dinner, because he always posts everything on social media. Sammy's good about that.
Except for his haircut. He did not
no,
post his bad haircut.
He was worried about his haircut.
I want to see it so bad.
Yeah, had a beef sandwich with giardiniera and a salad and then some tiramisu, and he said it was outstanding. It looked really, really good. There's something that makes you feel good when someone takes your recommendation.
I've never taken anyone,
follows
so I
through,
wouldn't know. Yeah.
And then enjoys your recommendation.
Yeah.
There's an incredibly satisfying feeling
Oh,
about steering someone
massive.
in the right direction.
If I play music for someone and they absolutely love it, it's
such a great feeling, isn't it?
It's such a good feeling. Now, when you recommend your
feel
stuff
like you're
to
putting
me,
your reputation on the line.
You are.
Yeah, you are. You absolutely are.
I put my love and knowledge of food on the line for Sam Levin and said, I think this place is really good. I think you're going to like it too. Go ahead and use one of your valuable meals that you get in your life to try this place.
The last thing you want is him to go, what the hell is wrong with
Of
Ben's
course,
taste buds? That's the worst place
you feel
I've ever
awful.
been.
If you recommend somewhere and people don't like it,
Sammy
you
gets
feel
sick.
awful.
I did that once. And strangely enough, a restaurant in Scottsdale is what I recommended. I had a buddy going out to Scottsdale for, I don't even know why they were going out. It was a guy's trip or something. He goes, we need a good steakhouse. Now, there was a place. Remember the hotel I flooded in Scottsdale?
Yes. Because you hung
I hung my suit jacket.
Your suit jacket on the sprinkler.
On the sprinkler, and I flooded 2 floors of a hotel. It was the Hampton Inn. It's now the...
Which they were going to charge you thousands for, but then the hotel got sold and everyone forgot about it. And
I still
just went away.
I still could be in arrears somewhere. I remember calling my dad saying, we just bought a hotel. We just bought a Hampton Inn. You did, actually. I don't have a nickel.
Was it really a Hampton Inn?
Yeah. It was a Hampton Inn.
I'm surprised that you went right back to the Hampton Inn after that. When we went to Peoria and needed an emergency
you
hotel.
do a hell of a lot worse.
I'd probably stay in case I was on a list
I'm
somewhere.
very careful.
Like, don't walk into a Hampton Inn anywhere.
Oh, my God, he's here. He's actually here.
We found him, guys.
I'm putting
We've been
cuffs.
looking for years.
You check in with an alter ego name.
That's a true story, man. And I've never really gotten over it. And I really skated it. Now it's like the Hotel Azure or something. But anyway, I recommended this steakhouse. Remember Don and Charlie's?
Yeah, Don and Charlie's.
It was
classic.
awesome.
Like where all the umpires would go at spring training. It was a spring training legendary spot.
I recommended this steakhouse to these guys. 4 guys. They went. I got texted them like, "How was it?" This is a dump. This is a dump. This was the like. Are you at? All 4 of us were in agreement. Like, this is where he's. And they're like, there were no girls here. I'm like, You're right. I mean, most of the clientele is 70 to 73-year-old women and men in there, so I get it. But the food was outstanding at Don and Charlie's.
It's kind of like Goat Hill. You know, some people go and they hate playing golf at Goat Hill, and they go, "This is a terrible golf course." I love it. I think it's fantastic. I love everything about it. I love the quirkiness of it. But some people go and it's just not for them. And you kind of have to tailor your recommendation depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I was honored that Sammy not only
it looked amazing,
went with my recommendation, but then enjoyed his meal that I said he should try yesterday in spring training. It's a good feeling.
It did look great. It really did, and it is a little bit far for us when we go, but I would like to try it.
One day when we'll get out there, for some reason we'll be in Scottsdale, and I will take you.
It looked really good.
And then other people were contributing different recommendations that I'm going to try at some point the next time I go out to Arizona as well. Led to some good conversation.
Well, all you San Diegans that haven't made it to Peoria yet, I hope you enjoyed that segment and that recommendation.
So Sammy should join us in about an hour. I think Mike Schultz is talking at the end of this hour with an update of what's going on at spring training today. Have seen some people reacting to the Eddie Rosario signing.
Padre fans straight up dragging the team right now, and I can't tell what's a bit and what's not a bit at this point. I've lost the time.
Mad about not signing Rosario?
Yeah, well,
what was the contract again? What did he reportedly get?
$4 million, potential $4 million it's an incentive laden contract apparently. And again, I don't know necessarily that the Padre fans are wrong. I mean, Eddie Rosario is not your missing piece, but with every guy that comes off the board, you go, "What are we broke? Like, are we flat broke? Like, we couldn't make an offer to an Eddie Rosario when you have maybe a Profar.
Maybe they did.
Well, you don't know that's true.
With every guy that comes off the board, doesn't it make it more true?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie Rosario still hit 20 homers last year. Are you telling me the Padres couldn't use an affordable 20-home run outfielder right now?
That's
with
exactly
experience?
Right.
Yes. We don't know what else is going on behind the scenes, though. If the Padres are deep in negotiations with Tommy Pham or someone else, then, yeah, maybe they're not in on an Eddie Rosario because they're going in a different direction.
It helps give it gives oxygen to the theory that they don't have any money and they don't have a nickel left to
perhaps
spend.
Eddie Rosario looked at the Padres and go, "Hey, they want to play Jackson Merrill, and they're not going to have outfield spots."
Yeah. Like he goes to the Nationals instead of the Padres. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It's also never a good idea if you're not high on Eddie Rosario and you feel like don't think he'd be a good fit for our clubhouse. Don't think he necessarily crack our lineup much. You shouldn't throw money at a guy that you don't believe in and you don't think is going to help your team. Now, numbers-wise, they need something like that. But if he's not the right guy, then he's not the right guy. And the Padres, it's their prerogative to decide.
Well, and it's his prerogative.
Who they're going to go after.
It's his prerogative to sign with whoever he wants as well. We just don't know. We haven't heard that they're really in on anybody. Of course, you hear the Schilt and Tommy Pham rumors of their good relationship and Tommy's good relationship with him and with AJ Preller. But yeah, I don't know. I think Pham is going to be more expensive than Eddie Rosario, which is why you look at it and go, maybe we just don't have that money to spend.
Pham, I think, is a more complete player than Eddie Rosario.
I think so, too.
He should be more expensive.
Yep.
I would rather have Tommy Pham than Eddie Rosario.
Matthew says we are sellers at the trade deadline with absolutely no doubt. I sure hope not, man. I really, really sure hope not. That'd be a tough first
I'd be surprised if that decision has been made. I've got to imagine if the Padres are in contention, they're going to try to make the playoffs. We've talked about the financial windfalls of making the playoffs at Petco Park. They want to go after those as well. It doesn't help you financially to save $3 million at the trade line, but cost yourself a playoff spot where you could have made tens of millions of dollars in extra postseason revenue.
If you made a wild
That's
card.
A smart investment to go after a player that might put you over the top to get you into the playoffs in October. So I would expect that they would try to do what would be smart at the trade deadline And we don't know, obviously, what that's going to be until you get to July and see where you are in the standings. But you can't say right now what the Padres will or will not do with the trade deadline this season.
No, the trade that's a bit of a stretch. Well, look, we got to go to break. We can come back and we can talk about this more if you want.
Okay, well, Tier 1 tour as well. Take a look at the Minnesota Twins. Shouldn't take too long as we wrap up the American League Central in our Tier 1 tour of all the baseball teams at spring training. That's coming up next. First, a check of traffic, and then more Ben and Woods coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. If you want to follow the baseball season, you got to know the teams. Just kind of how it works, and that's why we do the Tier 1 tour. Is this the second or third year we've done the Tier 1
Second,
tour?
I think.
It's the third.
Third year we've done the Tier 1 tour?
The third,
We
obviously.
can't even agree on that. But we are counting down the days, different team each day. We've made our way from the East to the Central. We're wrapping up the Central now, AL Central, and today's team in our Tier 1 tour, the Minnesota Twins, who are coming off another AL Central title last season, went 87-75, advanced to the playoffs, where they finally ended their 18-game playoff losing streak by defeating the Toronto Blue Jays in a 2-game sweep in the American League Wild Card Series last year, advanced to the ALDS to take on the Houston Astros, where they were eliminated in 4 games by the Astros. So the Twins are back. They've been probably the most consistent performer in that division. Not probably. They've definitely been the most consistent performer in that division in recent years, and I think most prognosticators and experts think that they're probably the class of that division once again, Woods.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Again, fortunate to play in a really weak division with the Tigers, the Guardians, the White Sox, and the Royals. It feels like a foregone conclusion, Ben, that they go out and win the division again, and that must be nice every year for them. A lot of guys were mentioned as potential trade targets with A.J. Preller, most notably Max Kepler. Looks like that's not going to happen. Max Kepler will be back with the Twins. Byron Buxton. Royce Lewis is an absolute superstar if he can stay healthy. If Royce Lewis can stay healthy, he can be one of the best players in the game, their third baseman. Of course, they got Carlos Correa as well. They got a good team. They added Carlos Santana as well. And that's, again, another guy that you thought Padres may be in on. Where they're going to be, I think, pretty solid is their starting rotation. Pablo Lopez at the top, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, and Chris Paddock, of all people, is looking to
back after his Tommy John surgery. And he came back a little bit last season,
he did,
but now a full-time pitcher again.
And apparently is throwing very, very hard in spring training. The velo is up a tick and looking pretty good. They got Manuel Margot as well, Ben, just traded from the Dodgers. So a lot of former friends.
So tell me if you agree with this statement, but the Minnesota Twins, to me, are a great model for what I wouldn't mind the San Diego Padres being. A consistent winner. Now, their payroll is a little bit less. I think it's about $125 million. I think the Padres can maybe do better where we are here, but they're mostly built through good drafts. 6 of their starters were all drafted, and Kepler was signed long ago as an amateur free agent, so they're built, not bought, but they do have the wherewithal to go out and get a Carlos Correa, a superstar player, from time to time. They're not like a poverty franchise. They're willing to invest. Good pitching, consistently good pitching in their rotation. They develop it well. They coach it well. I mean, the Minnesota Twins are not one of the sexiest teams in baseball, but they seem well run, well managed by Rocco Baldelli. I just feels like it's a good organization to kind of emulate. Sure. I'd like to be the Twins plus. Right now, just take Twins and the kind of success that they've had consistently in the AL Central. Now, postseason, it's been absolutely abysmal until last season. Is that an aberration? Is that something they're doing wrong? Are they infected with the Dodgers issue in October? I've got no idea why they lost 18 consecutive postseason games. That's just kind of freaky and weird. But, you give yourself enough chances. One of these years, things should break right for the Twins in October and make a run to the ALCS or the World Series and maybe even win a championship.
Got them projected at 87.5 wins, which I feel like that's a really good number. They won 87 last year. So they got them at 87.5 right now. Is it possible to see them as a 90-win team? Yeah, maybe. If guys like, guys like Chris Paddock stay healthy and can make a bunch of starts for them, and if that rotation stays healthy, there's no reason they couldn't win more than 87.5. But
yeah, I think if you're projected for 87.5, that means the projections, like some of them came in at 87, but some of them obviously came in higher, some came in lower. Yeah. That's how those projections work. So yeah, if things break right, they could be a 90+ win team.
It's health. It's health for them. Correa, Royce Lewis,
Buxton.
Max Kepler, Buxton. They've got guys that are superstar caliber players that can't stay on the field and really makes up the middle of their lineup.
And Juan Duran, that how do you say it?
Johan Duran.
Johan Duran,
He's dirty.
He is nasty.
Absolutely
nasty
as their closer.
As their closer.
It's Johan, I think.
It's spelled Jhoan.
I think it's pronounced Johan.
But it's pronounced Johan.
Johan
Duran. Johan
really
Duran.
nasty.
But however you say the first name, he is he is one of the best in the business.
McKee in the chat says, do you need 90 wins in the AL Central? Probably not.
No, you probably
don't. You probably don't.
Is it nice to have a little cushion at the end of the year? I mean, last year
87.
they won the division by 9 games over the Detroit Tigers. It's a nice feeling when you're up 7 or 8 in September and not worried like, oh, we're about to be caught from behind by a red-hot team, a Rocktober, a Cardinals at the end of the season that wins 12 in a row and we're done. They haven't really been threatened that much, and this division doesn't look like they're putting up a huge threat again this year to the Minnesota Twins. It's a good spot to be. As I said,
no question.
Best thing the Padres could do would be move to the
Central.
the Midwest, and join one of the Central divisions if they really want to make consistent playoff appearances. It's much easier to do so.
87.5 seems very doable for them.
At the Central. All right, Tier 1 tour continues as we move out west. We were closing in. We should wrap this up the day before the Padres regular season opener in Korea against the Los Angeles Dodgers. All right, let's take time out. We'll come back. Paulie's going to give us some headlines in the Reindl Report. He was telling me this story earlier about an Air Force employee. You going to put that one in there? Careful what you share on your dating
app. What we will do for love.
Yeah, things we'll do for love, or even the prospect of love.
And I got a classic example of some real eyewash.
I'm in.
That is coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We have another iteration of manager Mike Schilt's lineup. After some consistency for a week or so in spring, I had the different lineup with Ha-Sung Kim leading off against a lefty the other day. And today, against the Cincinnati Reds at the Peoria Sports Complex, there's another option at the top of the order, one that one Stephen Woods foreshadowed earlier this week.
The interesting part that I failed to mention during the break, he's playing he's playing shortstop today.
Is he?
Xander Bogaerts leading off, playing shortstop.
Well, Ha-Sung Kim is not playing today, so they needed a shortstop.
Yeah, but if you're trying to make him a second baseman, couldn't you just put literally anybody else at short?
Well,
who's the guy? Mac Miller? What's his name?
They're trading Ha-Sung Kim today, so there
What's
you go.
the guy's name? Not Mac Miller.
Mason McCoy.
Mac Miller.
They also said they were going to play Jackson Merrill at short a little bit this spring, and you
is in center field.
Not seen Jackson Merrill at short at all this spring. So here's the lineup.
I think they're messing with
for
us.
today's game against the Cincinnati Reds. Xander Bogaerts leading off
Playing
at shortstop. And you liked him in the leadoff spot because he hits for a good average, gets on base, but hits a lot of ground balls. So if he's batting second, that's a double play danger. Not that other guys don't hit into double plays as well. They do. Jake Cronenworth batting second, playing first base. Fernando Tatis Jr. out in right field hitting third. Manny Machado, once again, the designated hitter, batting fourth. Jurickson Profar in left field hitting fifth. Luis Camposano, the catcher, batting sixth. Jackson Merrill, again in center field, batting seventh. At third base, I always forget his first name, Wade. Tyler Wade, batting eighth. And at second base, Eggy Rosario batting ninth. Maybe that's why they didn't want to sign Eddie Rosario. Be very confusing to have both Eggy and Eddie Rosario on the team.
I doubt very much.
And kind of the maybe the slightly forgotten candidate for the rotation, Randy Vasquez will be starting the game today. He's had an outstanding spring, but somehow doesn't get as much discussion as maybe a Johnny Brito and a Matt Waldron have gotten so far this spring. But he's been really, really good, and he'll get a chance against the Cincinnati Reds today at 12:10 at the Peoria Sports Complex.
So, what if Xander, in the leadoff spot, playing short, rips like 4 knocks today, playing shortstop?
I would say
stupid game.
It doesn't matter where you're playing, and it's a spring game, so it doesn't matter at all. I wonder that Xander, though, might not put a little more stock into it. Just having talked to him a couple of times and knowing how he thinks.
Well, they're human beings.
He will react and go, I need to be back at short. If I hit well when I'm at short, I need to be back at short. He seems like that kind of guy, unfortunately.
They all are, man. I mean, most of them are, even though they would never admit it. You know,
Juan Soto admitted it this spring. Remember, Juan Soto was very much didn't like to bat in the second spot.
Sure.
And with the Yankees, he said, yeah, I got over that last year, though, because they have him in the second spot a lot in their lineups, Judge, then Soto. And he said, yeah, I used to say I didn't like batting second, but I started hitting well in the second spot last season with the Padres. I got over it. It's fine. I'll bat second no matter, you just have to do it a little bit. The numbers will eventually, your numbers are your numbers, and they will even out offensively wherever you're playing, wherever you're hitting in the lineup. Your numbers are your numbers.
You say that, though, and you're talking about
the small sample size that they'll point and go, I didn't hit well when I was playing like Jake last year when he was playing first base. He didn't hit as well as playing second, but it's too small of a sample size. If you give him 3 seasons, the numbers will be the numbers regardless of where in the lineup or where on the field you are playing.
I'm
but
just
in
saying,
a short term,
it's
it can look a little weird.
It's interesting today if he, rips 4 doubles whilst playing short. So he's not going to get 4 ABs, I wouldn't imagine, but you know what I'm saying. Comes up, gives, has really good ABs, hits a few seeds and missiles everywhere, and he's like, well, see, this is what happens when I play short. I'm much more comfortable. You pay me $280 million. I want to be comfortable.
I would want Xander comfortable leading off, though. That
Sure.
would be a good thing, I think, for the Padres, possibly to have him leading off.
It's just interesting to me. I would love to hear the logic on it. Like, if you're moving him to second base and he's now your second baseman, why wouldn't you want to get all the game reps at second base as you can get? That's what I don't understand.
You already got a shortened spring training.
Now, if something happened to Ha-Sung Kim and he was injured, and I'm not saying he is, but if he got injured, sure, you have some guys you can choose from, Xander being one of them.
Mike Schultz talking in 15 minutes, and then we'll talk to Sammy. I'm sure he'll be asked.
You have to ask that question, Sammy. I know you're listening, so obviously you will. I don't need to tell you how to do your job. But it's interesting to me.
To me, this is a bit of a massaging ego play by Mike Schultz.
You think so?
Hey, we haven't forgotten that you're a shortstop. You know how to play it. Let's put you out there just to Just to remind everybody that you're still a shortstop, even if you're playing at second base.
These guys,
he's massaging his talent.
These guys and their shortstop fetish. That's what happens when you sign 17 shortstops for your squad. So everyone wants to play short.
Fernando's going to be like, well, I'd like to crack at it again.
Paulie, no joke. In Dennis Lynn's, I think it was his second to last mailbag, I mean, he mentions in it, Fernando Tatis Jr. has expressed an interest in returning to shortstop. So, I mean, he obviously took the bull by the horns and went out and won a platinum glove in right field. But if given the chance today, Fernando, you make the call. Where are you playing? He's at short. If Xander Bogaerts given the choice, he's at short too. So
I'd like to see a game where they just rotate the shortstop around. Like Tatis for an inning, Bogaerts for an inning, Kim for an inning, Merrill for an inning, Cronenworth for an inning, Machado for an inning. Everyone gets an inning at short in one game.
Oh, God.
All right, let's check traffic, and then Paulie's got some headlines in the Reindl Report.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. And a handful of hot spots here. Eastbound 905 just past Picador. Collision involving a couple vehicles. That is over the right shoulder. Also, watch out for a stall vehicle in middle lanes on westbound King Freeway near the 15. Several problems in the North County. Southbound 5 before Cassidy Street. Collision over the right shoulder. Eastbound 78 right around El Camino Real. We're getting reports of a crash, not showing if lanes are blocked. Up ahead near Nordall Road, accident over to the right shoulder. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your drive-through oil change. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. With all the rain lately, Valvoline is also offering replacement wiper blades. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah?
All right. All right. Gentlemen, we will start off with some baseball here. One of the hottest hitters in America. We're talking college baseball. 5'9" center fielder named Drew Burress. He plays for Georgia Tech, and the tear that he went on over the last week and a half as the season gets underway in college baseball, it's unbelievable. Through 10 games, he already has 9 home runs.
Good God, man.
Including a game last week.
He's how tall, 5'9"?
5'9".
A little Bob out there just pounding
He had a game last week where they won 10-0. He went in the leadoff spot. He went 4 for 4.
I hate him.
With 4 home runs.
I hate him already.
And 6
I can't stand
RBIs.
him. I don't know him. I don't like him. So insanely jealous.
Through 10 games, he has 9 home runs. He's batting .419. He's got 20 RBIs and 13 runs scored.
Such a heater.
And he was a very highly thought of prospect out of high school. Again, he's a freshman. But teams were a little concerned about his size.
Yeah.
And that kind of hurt his draft stock. And he made it very clear that he did want to go to college.
Yeah.
So he was not drafted out of high school last year. But he has come out just blazing hot to start the college baseball season.
So you said he's a freshman?
Yes.
Interesting.
9 homers in 10
games. Do you agree with the rule that's still in baseball that if you go to college, you got to go three years essentially, and then you can't be drafted again?
I think it's stupid.
You think you can be one? You should be one and done in baseball, like in college,
like in college basketball.
Basketball, yeah.
Yes.
What's it for football?
If you can get drafted out of high school,
football, you have to go 3 as well. Yeah.
You can get, but unlike football and baseball, you can get drafted out of high school.
Yeah, for sure.
You can get signed. International prospects get signed at like 16.
Yeah.
So if a kid decides, I want 1 more year of a little seasoning on my game. I want to go to college for a year, get that experience. If after 1 year he's ready to go to the draft,
I mean, you don't have to play 3 years, but you have to be 3 years out of high school. So like a redshirt year counts toward your
But
service time, essentially.
They can't draft him after his freshman year
No.
and put him in camp.
They could have drafted him after his senior year of high school,
Yes,
though, and
but
he could have
once
been
you-
in the MLB.
Once you don't do that, and they go to college, now you can go to junior college
Yeah.
and get drafted again. But if you go to a 4-year university,
I think
you
it's
got to wait
stupid.
3 years, I believe.
I think I've said this many times, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, whatever. The one and done rule is fine by me because college's goal, whether you're an athlete or a science major, whatever, college's whole point is to get you ready for your career.
Yeah,
and
your
after
first job.
1 year,
You're ready.
You're ready for your career as a professional athlete. You should be able to explore that.
Yeah, I'm down with that for sure. That's a heater, man. That's a heater that you'll never experience 9 home runs in 10 games. Just never. It's never
Imagine
going to happen.
4 swings in one game.
4 swings
home
and
runs.
4 bombs in one game is absurd.
Yeah. So it'd be fun to watch
That's
him and
awesome.
see if he cools down or can just
I mean,
continues this tear
he's
that
going to cool
Of course
down.
he is.
He's going to cool down.
But
holy cow.
it's fun to watch while it's still going. All right. I told you guys a little tease earlier in our last segment. Eyewash 101.
Yeah,
So
saw
we,
this.
we talked about it a couple of weeks ago that EA Sports is bringing back college football 2025. It is a beloved game. You can, whether you want to play San Diego State or you can play as Alabama or whatever, you can do the dynasty mode. It's a fun game. And so they're bringing it back. They went away for a while. And with NIL now being a thing, any player that opts in to be a part of EA Sports' video game, you got a copy of the game and $600.
Yep.
Not bad.
That's an easy yes for
Got to sign off.
the vast majority of college football players.
I think when we talked about it, there was over 11,000 eligible football players, and like a few days ago, I saw over 10,000 have opted in already. Like, it's a no-brainer, and you get an extra $600. They were going to use you kind of either way. Now they just put your name on it. Except for Texas quarterback Arch Manning. He said he is not going to opt in to EA Sports College Football 2025, and an NFL insider, Anwar Richardson, says, quote, "I'm told Arch is focused on playing football on the field."
Okay. You can do both.
Well,
I think that's major eyewash.
if he opts in,
I'm
does
all
he
about
have to like code his own player and do all the work to set it
do
up?
a damn
He doesn't have to
All
do
right.
anything at all.
I have a wrinkle. Now, it's from a guy on Twitter named Longhorn Mike. So take it with a grain of salt. But here's what Longhorn Mike says.
Where does Arch Manning play again?
Plays at the University of Texas.
Okay.
They are the
They're the
Longhorns. Now,
Longhorns, okay.
Longhorn Mike says, losers like this grown-ass man are hating on 18-year-old Arch Manning for not wanting to be in a game. He said he won't take NIL until he's a starter. Good for him. His decision. He also donated $100K. Does he have $100K? To the Ronald
His
McDonald
last
House.
name is Manning.
Fair. I mean, fair, but...
Any relation?
So miss me with that selfish BS. Why do you care?
It's not selfish, but I think it's counterproductive. It's more of a distraction to say no, I don't want to be in it, than just do what everybody else is doing. If you don't want to be a distraction, you do what 10,000 other college players are doing, just quietly go, yeah, put me in,
Whatever,
give me the $600, give me the game.
10,500 athletes out of 11,000 eligible. What is that, 99%?
I'd almost respect it more if he said, my NIL value is much higher.
Yeah.
And I would like a separate deal to be in the game. I deserve $60,000, not $600 to use the Manning name in this game. And he might be right about that. The Manning name is much more valuable than, Joe Smith, third-string offensive lineman for Fresno State University, who is also getting $600 in the game. Arch Manning probably should get more if he's going to be in that game. If that's why he said no, people would criticize him for being greedy, but that would be a much more explainable, logical reason for not being in the game. A distraction. It's more of a distraction to deny being in the game than it is to be in the game at this point.
Well, this guy tweets, here's a $600 check. Sorry, I can't. I'm footballing.
All right. Finally.
Are you distracted by being paid for this job, Woods?
Apparently.
Would you do a better show if we weren't paying you for it?
Do you think I would be sitting here right now? I do love this job. I would probably... Well, no. I don't want to be a scab.
Finally, how far would you go for love, gentlemen? I got a story here about a 63-year-old man named David Slater, and he is a retired Army lieutenant colonel. who had top secret security clearance at U.S. Strategic Command. He's an Air Force employee.
Okay.
And he was looking for love.
In all the wrong places, apparently.
Well, he was on a foreign dating website. And
Okay.
he was chatting with a woman claiming to live in Ukraine.
Okay.
If you know anything about, if you haven't been living in Iraq, there has been awful stuff happening in Ukraine over the last few
Been
years.
in the news, yeah.
And, well, he's in a little bit of trouble because while messaging and emailing with this woman from Ukraine, he was given a lot of secret information that he was privy to.
What is your password? What's on these screens behind you?
They only identified the person as co-conspirator 1, but she, in the messages, referred to him as Sweet Dave and, quote, my secret agent in the messages. There's a message sent to him that says, Dear, what is shown on the screens in the special room? It is very interesting.
Nothing
And he
turns
said,
me on like
"Well,
American military secrets.
Why don't I show you? Stranger in Ukraine.
What a rude.
I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that.
I feel like
Less than a week later, the co-conspirator sent another message saying, you are my secret informant, love.
Oh my
How
God.
are your
She's telling
meetings?
you her job. She's
are-
telling you what she's doing.
How are your meetings?
if you
Were they successful?
If you were a really good spy, you wouldn't say you were a woman from Ukraine. You'd just be like from Pittsburgh or something and go, oh, this is really cool. Could you show me what's
that
going on?
screen there.
Yeah, you're not like, I'm
What
in
is this?
Ukraine and I would love to see where you work.
Assistant
you work in a
Attorney
secret
General-
Air Force facility. Yes, I'd love to see where you work.
What is your social security number?
Matthew Olson from the Justice Department's National Security Division said Slater knowingly transmitted classified national defense information to another person in blatant disregard for the security of his country and his oath to safeguard its secrets.
That's just some poor judgment right there. That is poor judgment.
I would say
I feel like they've got, we have to do modules like to learn at work. I've got to imagine the Air Force does a module where it's like, hey, if you're on a dating app and they're asking you for secrets, they might be a spy from another country. Don't tell them, that's treason. You don't want to commit treason on a dating app.
Yeah, he was arrested over the weekend, and that's why he's
What did I
been in
do?
the news.
Just trying to make
What do you mean,
sex
what
to
did
her.
you
Treason.
do?
You treasoned all weekend long. Just to try to get some.
There's a lot of lonely people out there, man.
Thank you, Paulie. By the way, that Meatloaf song, I do anything for love, but I won't do that. What won't Meatloaf do? I never understood.
I've always hated that song.
You don't know. You don't know what won't he do?
Rest in peace, but I've always hated Meatloaf, like with a burning passion. Sorry, I'm sorry. Like
I was sure you'd be able to tell me
Paradise
what
by
he
the
won't
dashboard.
do.
Like I can't stand Meatloaf. I like real meatloaf, like mom's meatloaf. I'll murder it.
Shelley makes a really good turkey meatloaf.
I love turkey
which is
meatloaf.
fantastic.
I'll eat any meatloaf. I'll eat any loaf of meat, but I will not listen to that. So I hate. Yes, Megan says even Paradise by the. Yes, all of it. If
That is her jam.
If Meatloaf sings it, I'm out. That's how I feel.
Shout out to his family.
Yeah,
Ouch.
rest in peace.
Shout out to his family.
All right, Paulie, nice job.
Thanks.
We should get an update. Sammy spring training joining us from Peoria. Final hour of Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Sammy Levitt's still trying to get Mike Schilt to spill all of his secrets. So we'll wait a couple of minutes until he joins us from spring training. Final hour of Ben and Woods here on a Wednesday.
Mike, how did your secret meetings go?
So yesterday I mentioned, there's no way the Dodgers really could have enough go wrong this year that they could miss the playoffs, right? I mean, how much would have to really completely collapse for that team to not even make the playoffs?
It would need dysentery to go through the clubhouse, scurvy, something.
I mean, and even that, you think they would recover from it in time to still rally for the playoffs. But if you're looking for some measure of is there any weakness on that roster? ESPN came out yesterday, Bradford Doolittle, who we've had on the program before, a new statistical model called the MLB Injury Index. And they have compiled more data on historic injuries, age, injury histories of players to determine which teams are the most and least injury prone in Major League Baseball. And first of all, he went through last year, the teams that had the heaviest IL use. It was the Yankees were first, Rays were second, Dodgers were third, Braves were fourth, and so on. Padres came out kind of in the top tier. They were eighth in baseball in above average IL use last year. And then they computed all the numbers together and came up with a 2024 risk assessment. The teams based on age, injury history, and other factors, which teams have the most susceptibility potentially to injuries. Now, luck plays a huge factor in it as well. But the numbers spit out the Los Angeles Dodgers by far as the most injury risking team out there. And it's probably because of players like Clayton Kershaw, who's back and already hurt, pitchers who are coming off Tommy John surgeries.
Do they count? I guess they count Kershaw.
Everybody who's on the roster.
He's not expected to be back till July or whatever.
Their pitcher injury index ranked was number one.
You got Tyler Glasnow, you got Walker
Hitters
Buehler.
were right down the middle, but their pitcher, there was a lot of concern by the numbers as to the Dodgers' injury index risk for this season.
They had a lot of injuries last year. They're deep.
And they overcame it. Yeah. But, that's a baked in, I'm sure, to part of the Dodgers' strategy is they know they're going to lose some guys to injuries. When you have older players, that tends to be the case. The Rays were second, Marlins third, Brewers fourth, Twins fifth, Yankees sixth, Rangers seventh. Now, the other end of the spectrum, one of the benefits of going a little younger, prospects and what the Padres are doing, they have dropped to one of the lower factors, seventh lowest in baseball, 24th overall, one of the lower risk injury teams. And that's a big part of it is because they are going with younger players who tend to be healthier and less of an injury risk than guys who are in their, mid to late 30s. Now, Padres do still have some veteran players, but according to the numbers that were spit out, Padres were near the bottom when it came to injury risk this 2024 season.
It seems like a dumb thing to do.
It is.
It feels like
it fills a lot
waste.
of column space.
I feel like that was who did this?
Bradford Doolittle.
I like Bradford a lot.
I do too.
But I feel like his time would have been better served elsewhere. It's darts at a board. I understand.
It's a lot of guesswork.
It's a lot of guesswork. It's a lot of, and I like projections. I think projections are very valuable. I do, but projecting injury is almost impossible. I mean, did the Yankees think Aaron Judge was going to hurt his toe on an opening gate at Dodger Stadium last year? I mean, weird stuff happens.
Joe Musgrove's kettlebell. There are a lot of injuries that are beyond prediction. Most of them
Tim says just one more needless stat. Yeah, I mean, and again, they don't hand out awards for, we were the least injured team this year. That's actually, if you're the least injured team and you don't make the playoffs.
You should make a deep run.
You should be making a deep run. It's exactly right. So it can work against you as well. But
no excuses.
But, I mean, guess who two of the least injured teams were last season in baseball? Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, there you go.
Were two of the bottom four teams in terms of injury and IL use last year. So it can definitely make a difference. I don't know if you can actually predict it, but ultimately, in the end, the teams that tend to stay healthier and stay on the field do better than the teams that are riddled with injuries.
Yeah,
shocker there.
But we knew that, and I don't know that we needed some new metric to tell us that being less injured is better.
Always a new metric in baseball for
really
just about
true.
everything. Now, the least injured team in baseball was the Oakland A's. So
Speaking of the youth movement.
So they had a lot of young players who stayed healthy. They probably wished at some point maybe some of these guys could get hurt, could help us out a little bit. It's not the be-all, end-all of success. But you've seen plenty of stories that teams that thought they had a promising roster all of a sudden have 3 or 4 pitching injuries, and now they can barely win a game.
Yep.
Can't field a rotation. They're getting clobbered. It makes a huge difference. Health is a big factor in baseball.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Not breaking
news there
by any stretch of the imagination. But I thought I'd throw it out there because I was reading through it yesterday, and if I read through it, might as well share it with everybody else.
If I did it, then you have to do it as well.
On the program here. That's what we do. It's a week from today that the Padres jet off to Korea, correct?
Yes.
After their game next Wednesday. I think that's what Mike Schilt told us on the
and they'll have 7 days to be ready, get ready. 7-8 days.
We got like some exhibition games next weekend.
Okay.
6 though, because when you cross the international date line, you lose a day.
Yeah.
Oh wow, whole day
when you fly.
I'm sure they're gonna have a bunch of like MLB related.
I think
events to go to.
If it was me, I'd be like, don't talk to me for a day. I need 24 hours to assimilate.
We've speculated what's going to look like for Ha-Sung Kim. I mean, he's going to look like
I can't even imagine
an absolute rock star. But I cannot wait to see it.
I know
It's going
to be pretty cool. It's going to be pretty cool for him.
Yeah, Mike Schilt was optimistic that MLB was going to hook them up with a fairly nice transatlantic jet for the team to get over there in comfort. So to minimize the obviously big hassle of the travel, 14-hour flight, I think he said was what they expected from Phoenix for the cross the date line. So you lose a day. So you essentially take off Wednesday night.
I heard they're going to be traveling pretty comfortably.
Yeah, it's going to be fairly sweet. But you take off Wednesday night, and then you don't get there until like Friday morning.
It's terrible.
Like, they're not even going to know they're on a plane.
And then you got the time change this weekend as well. I believe Saturday night clocks spring forward. Except they don't in Arizona, so I guess they don't have to worry about it. We have to worry about that.
Satan's Blowfish says, I hope the pods deliver. This doesn't end up overhyped. I'm so hyped it's starting to feel like a trap.
Pods deliver what? I thought we were less hyping this year.
No. Maybe this series in Korea is maybe what he's talking about.
I mean, it's going to be absolutely sold out. I don't think there's any risk that the hype is going to deliver. Korea is going to go absolutely crazy.
It's going to go ham
for these two games. I've known people who are trying to get tickets, like people who have access to who know people, and there's just nothing. It's so hard to get tickets to these games in Seoul, Korea. They're going to be berserk for Major League Baseball. So there's no worry that it's going to be successful. Now, will the games be good? Will they be bad? I mean, with all the travel and playing in an 18,000 little seat dome is going to be a little weird for the players, I'm sure. I don't know if it'll be the best version of Major League Baseball, but I promise you that MLB will rule this a massive success when the 2 days are over and the teams are flying back.
Matthew, the ever-optimistic Padre fan, says, Pods lose 7-1 and 8-2. FanFest canceled. I hope not, man. I hope we get some decent baseball.
If they were planning on canceling FanFest, if they go 0-2 against the Dodgers, they probably shouldn't have scheduled it in the first place.
Fair. Should have left it to tenuous.
I mean, we
or
know.
Done it, like last month.
Yeah, done it last month.
Way before the season.
And by the way, that's not a shot at the Padres. Every team is going to struggle against the Dodgers this year. I mean, maybe the Braves can try to hold their own a little bit. They're going to struggle. I
did watch them get shut out last night by Chase Silseth and the Angels.
That's right. It was Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout back together again.
Yep, reunited. I saw, who doesn't look, and I know he's played second base a lot, but Mookie doesn't look like a world beater at second base either. He had a easy double play, completely biffed it, was off balance, spiked it in the dirt. Freddie couldn't pick it. And I saw a couple Dodger fans that I followed were tweeting about, like, Mookie's, it's weird because he's got when he played right field, he had a cannon for an arm. But we talked about it with Xander. The going to the bag and then having to go across your body is a different thing entirely than catching a fly ball, crow hopping and, slinging it to third base on a line. It's a different feeling for a second baseman. It's a really uncomfortable throw. If you're looking for things to, pull apart on the Dodgers. There's not many, but that's definitely something to watch. I know some Dodger fans are worried about it, but if you're Mookie Betts, you hit 330 with 30 bombs. Do you really care about his defense?
I've been keeping. I like save all the moves, the big moves that were made in Major League Baseball this season. I had to create a separate section in my notes just for the Dodgers, just to review their offseason. Shohei Ohtani, 10-year, $700 million contract. Acquire Tyler Glasnow from the Rays. Sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 12-year, $325 million deal. Sign Teoscar Hernandez, 1-year, $23.5 million deal. Sign James Paxton, 1-year deal. Agree on a 1-year contract with Clayton Kershaw, and sign Kike Hernandez to a $4 million deal. A few other
you do a great
minor
job.
moves.
We can't get Brandon Belt.
They get their own section of deals that they made this offseason.
Oh, you do a great job.
I mean, that's close to $1.1 billion just right there.
It's a nice little offseason.
In offseason signings.
Yeah.
And, well, if you include Glasnow's extension as well, which they gave him as soon as they traded for him, I think it is over $1.1 or $1.2 billion in money spent this offseason. Go Dave Roberts.
Did you see the Joey Votto picture yesterday, guys? Of him sitting on a park bench looking forlorn, wanting to get back in the game of baseball. And I guess nobody has been calling Joey Votto. Do you think he's washed? You'd take Belt over Votto, right?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I would too. As much as I love
now,
Joey.
how old is Joey Votto now?
Like 39? 38, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so about the same age as Josh Donaldson, who announced his retirement
I
yesterday.
feel bad, man.
Joey Votto's
former
40.
MVP.
40 years old.
So he's 2 years older than Josh Donaldson, who yesterday officially announced his retirement at the age of 38.
He will turn 41 during the next baseball season.
I feel bad for him.
I mean, I think you can feel bad for anyone who wants to continue a profession and doesn't have the opportunity to do so. But the reality of baseball is you're 40. You're pretty lucky to get that far to begin with.
I mean, there's 34-year-olds sitting on the sidelines right now waiting for an opportunity. There's a bunch of those.
It's been gravy for a couple of years for Votto at this point. Now, the argument, does he have something to offer to a team still? Likely the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's asking for, though.
I don't either.
I mean, is he willing to play for an insultingly paltry amount of money?
Oakland A's.
There's probably somewhere he can go. Does he want to still make a few $1 million to play baseball? I can see why teams would be hesitant to do that with Joey Votto at 40, soon to be 41 years old.
But should he? Should he get a $3 million deal? Should Joey Votto get $3 million? Has he earned that? I think he has. I think absolutely. If he can contribute, there's a lot worse players that have been signed for a lot more money than that. That could be beneficial to a team.
I don't know. Did Nelson Cruz deserve more than $1 million last year?
I don't know.
I would have said yes.
I would have said
at the time.
I said yes
at the time. I would have said that was a huge steal for the Padres.
Yep, same.
Turned out not to be.
Now Matt Carpenter did not deserve the whatever he made $6 million a year, something insane. That one probably was a mistake.
Both of those. Well, Nelson Cruz was older, but Matt Carpenter certainly younger than Joey Votto.
Yep. So I don't know, man. I mean, again, I see the Pods getting ripped this morning for not going out and signing Eddie Rosario, and I feel your pain. I absolutely do. I was like I told you, I was at a birthday party with and talking to John Boggs about his guys and some of the guys that he represents and some guys that he knows. He said, "Man, it's for the old. If you're like 34 and above right now, you're best served. If you want to continue playing the game of baseball, you're going to have to sign a deal you're probably not super happy with right now."
Ben said it the other day, I think. Like they're acting like the NFL teams do with running backs.
That's exactly right.
We are going to sign you or draft you as a rookie and get 4 or 5 years out of you, and then you don't matter to us anymore. We're moving on to the next younger guy.
There's a youth movement, and you're seeing it explode around baseball, certainly. A lot of teams employing a lot of young, cheap, controllable players.
All right, we've got a giveaway right now. Basketball Ben has an opportunity for fellow basketball fans out there to win a 4-pack of tickets to its conference tournament season. And the Pac West will be holding their basketball tournament this weekend at Point Loma Nazarene University. Get your tickets now at pacwest.com/tickets, or you can win a 4-pack right now. Third caller, 833-288-0973. The Sea Lions are the top seed on the men's side after winning the regular season. Another really good season. They actually have put together a terrific basketball program at PLNU. And they are worthy of support. Got a fun little gym. It's always fun to go out to Point Loma. This is your opportunity to do so for free and catch all the action at the Pac West tournament. Call now, 833-288-0973. Good luck, and hopefully Sammy will be ready for us from spring training when we come back after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. We went through the lineup for today's game against the Cincinnati Reds a little bit earlier. Xander Bogaerts in the leadoff spot, and we were very curious as to what Mike Schilt had to say about that and the fact that he is playing shortstop today and not second base. So the man with the answers is our man on the scene in Peoria, Arizona. He is Sammy. Spring training, fresh off a delicious dinner in Scottsdale last night. Sammy, welcome back to Ben and Woods on 97.3
The
Fan.
victory lap, Sammy, that he's been taking about this Italian grocery is insane. It's insane.
Yeah, let's start with Andrioli, Italian grocer.
Hang
Ben
on.
Higgins knocked it out of the park.
You're cutting out a little bit. Let's try Sammy right back.
All right, we'll call him back just to get the non-warbly version of Sammy spring training and get the answer on the Xander Bogaerts shortstop question.
You know all the stuff that you like. You say
A couple of things.
in there. I like being right.
I like being right.
God, you like being right so much.
As I said, it's a satisfying feeling to give someone a recommendation that they enjoy, Sammy. It feels good to give someone a recommendation and then they actually enjoy your recommendation. Wood says with music, when he plays something for someone, they like it. Feels good. I'm glad you enjoyed your dinner per my recommendation yesterday.
Yeah, it was excellent. I showed up. It was pretty busy, but I went inside. I said I was a party of one, and they gave me a small little round table all the way in the back. I was basically facing a bookshelf in the back, and Ben, you've been there. It's a pretty cool little place. And I went up to the counter, ordered. Well, at first I said to the guy, I said, "Hey, out of these sandwiches," and I normally don't do this, but I could tell this guy he likes.
Was it the old guy? Was it the old guy? Kind of gruff?
He wasn't too old.
Okay.
It might have been the same guy. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna take a nap.
Maybe I don't know, 60.
Yeah, about 60.
65, maybe. Yeah,
kind of had a New York sensibility to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Woods have some work
I
to
think
do. We're just going to leave, and you guys can just talk about
groceries.
Yeah, so it was good. Anyway, long story short, asked him what sandwich to get. He said, "Get the ribeye, not the ribeye, the beef sandwich with the onion, side of hot giardiniera, if that's how you say it, giardiniera." And it was delicious. I got to tell you, Ben, it was really, really, really good. It was excellent.
So happy.
Cool
I'm
place.
so hungry.
Don't make the long
murder
story
you both.
short. Make the long story longer if you can.
Really good. No, you were. I was. Wondering if it would live up to the hype, and it did. Really, really good place. Cool place, and a really good sandwich.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you were right. Great place.
All right, so what was the story on Xander Bogaerts back at shortstop and batting leadoff today?
It's weird, Sammy. It's weird to me.
Yeah, well, we had the same reaction here when we saw the lineup, eyebrows raised, and according to Mike Schilt, it is just the day for Xander to play shortstop because when Ha-Sung Kim gets a day off, he will go over there. He will be, and this was Mike Schilt's words, the quote-unquote backup shortstop. So when Kim needs a day at short, it sounds like the plan is that Xander is going to play over there. So this was an opportunity in a Cactus League game to get him a game rep at shortstop. And obviously Xander has plenty of those over the course of his career, but he does not have one this spring training. So that was the explanation, that when Kim gets a day off, it's going to be Xander moving over to shortstop.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me. Because, I said it when we were out at spring training too, Sammy. Like, there's few baseball players that play as hard as Ha-Sung Kim. I mean, just running the bases, everything he does is 150 miles an hour. Shortstop will beat the crap out of you consistently. You're running back for those little floaters. You're up the middle. There's a lot of ground to cover. Your long throw, the whole thing. And like, he's going to need some days off. And I guess it makes sense. So what happens? What happens when he needs a day off? Xander slides to short. Who plays second? Jake or Eggy?
Well, Eggy's there today.
Eggy's there today.
Yeah, I mean, guys, and you also have to factor in the DH spot, right?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work when you want to give somebody a quote-unquote half day and shift things around? You're right. We don't know the answers to all those questions.
Be ready, I guess.
If Xander goes to short,
everybody be ready.
Put Jake Cronenworth at second and put somebody else at first? Would you slide somebody to third and play somebody else at second? Yes, it's a great, great question that I don't think we have the answer to right now. Notable, Ha-Sung Kim didn't play yesterday, isn't in the starting lineup today. Remember, they have a day off tomorrow. There is no game tomorrow, and it sounds like that will be a real day off. There is going to be a B game here where Joe Musgrove and Michael King will get 4 up-downs, so they'll be working tomorrow here. But aside from that, it sounds like it's going to be, if they want it, a real off day for the players, and quite frankly, it's the only off day of spring. Mike Schultz was asked about that. Ha-Seong Kim with the off day, not playing for 3 days, and he just said it's going to be 3 days off for him. So nothing to report on there. But, I guess when you saw the lineup today, you considered the day off tomorrow. The fact that Kim didn't play yesterday, I understood the question that the eyebrows were raised a little bit. But Mike Schultz said it's just 3 days off with tomorrow for Ha-Seong Kim. I can run through what else he said if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
From Mike Schultz. Yuki Matsui update. He threw more than the anticipated pitch limit yesterday in the bullpen session, got up to 30 pitches. It's going to be something like a live BP, another bullpen session next for him. They're still figuring out the next steps, but he came out of that well yesterday. Mike Schultz was asked about the possibility that Matsui could be ready for opening day, and he said, look, I'm paraphrasing here, but a possibility he could be ready, but they don't know yet. And I think they certainly don't want to push it for 2 games in Korea. So they're going to let just sort of the natural, flow of spring training and his workload and how things go here in the next week to 2 weeks to play part in that decision as to whether he'll be available for those games in Korea. So the good news is that he came out of that bullpen session yesterday really, really nicely. Yu Darvish will pitch on Friday night here, and that was about the headlines for Mike Schultz today. But good news on Yuki Matsui, certainly right there at the top of the list.
Did anyone bring up the fact that Eddie Rosario signed a deal, minor league deal this morning, $2 million if he makes the roster? Feels like a deal the Padres could have done, maybe should have done. Anybody? Yeah. I mean, it's not really his department, to be honest with you. But Sammy, there's really been no chatter at all. I mean, Kevin Acey's been talking about, Tommy Pham potentially. I know Dennis Len mentioned it as well. That's still, I don't know if there's anything happening on that front at all.
Guys, I don't know either, to be honest with you, and I don't hear a whole lot of chatter here about it. I mean, you're right. Look, that's not Mike Schultz's department, and quite frankly, I think if I'm just guessing here, if somebody would have asked him about it probably would have been the same reaction he had to Matt Chapman signing a few days ago, where he was like, "Oh, I didn't see that," But look, I think it's when you see guys, and I'm just talking for myself here, coming off the board for relatively low amounts of money. Look, it does make you wonder whether that move is going to come. And obviously, Tommy Pham is a name that has been linked to the Padres, and we know there's a relationship there. So, look, it is still, and it's such an interesting spring training for so many reasons, the schedule and this looming question of whether there's going to be a move or two made here that could really change the dynamic of a lot as far as these roster spots. It's a looming question, I think, but to be honest with you, as far as just chatter around here, I can tell you this, it's not like everybody's, sitting around here saying to themselves, hey, when are they going to sign somebody? I mean, I feel like the focus has very, very much been on who's here.
That's a good point, Sammy. That's a really good point. That's something that we've heard in the past, and we're just not hearing that this year at all. There is a different kind of focus to the team. Who knows what it's going to translate to? But you're right about that. They're not. You don't get the sense that they're actively looking to do anything. And look, I don't know if that's going to work or not. My gut tells me it probably won't going into the season with so many young players. But that seems to be the direction they're heading.
Yeah, look, I think there are so many different aspects to it, right? I mean, look, I think the Jackson Merrill part of it's pretty clear, unless something radically changes, that in all likelihood he's going to be a starter on this team from the outset, and that's looking more and more like it's going to be in center field, just based on the lineups we've seen day in, day out. I think the most interesting question when you go beyond Merrill continues to be, and there's been a lot of praise for Graham Paulie in the last couple of days, and he's had a really nice showing during spring training, to his credit. I think when you talk about somebody like Paulie, for example, the question becomes, and this is something Mike Schultz talked about a handful of days ago, but the question becomes, well, would you put Graham Paulie on this roster, but in a role where he's not going to play every day with the limited number of at-bats he has at the upper levels of the minor leagues? And I don't quite know the answer to that question yet, but I do think it's definitely a factor, right? And you could look at a scenario where, you know, you have somebody like that and they may show really well in spring, but if there's not a situation where they're going to play every day, you know, they may be on the outside looking in to no fault of their own. So, look, I think the Merrill part of it is starting to look pretty clear based on everything we've seen, everything we've heard. But, you know, the question is, the other piece is, if there's no additional name brought in, well, what direction do they go with that? Would they be willing to use a bench spot or more of a part-time spot on one of these young prospects? Or is that going to be reserved for more guys like Oscar Machado, more guys like Tyler Wade, more guys like Matthew Batten, more guys like Jurickson Profar? I mean, the list goes on and on. So, look, it's been an interesting spring training because there are so many questions and there are so many names involved. But to your original point, Woodsy, look, I do still think there's the looming question of, is there a move here? But to me, in the 3 to 4 weeks I've been here, there's been a lot of focus on the guys here, which I guess in the long run and for this team in the short run as well is a good thing until somebody else walks through those doors.
Last thing for me, Sammy, Randy Vasquez is scheduled to get the start today against the Reds. I feel like he's been somewhat the overlooked guy. He's been really good this spring, but there's been more talk about Brito and Waldron and maybe even Thorpe and Avila's struggles than I've heard about Vasquez. What are some of your impressions of Randy Vasquez and how you think the team views him at this point?
Yeah, look, I think he's right in the mix as far as these rotation spots. I think it's very much wide open from everything I hear. Obviously, he's had good results. You know, look, again, and I think I said this to you a couple of days ago, you know, I'm not totally sure right now. Is there a front runner? How do the options of Avila, you know, and Adrian Morhone in that conversation for more of a bullpen spot, how do those play in to the decision making? But with Vasquez in particular, results have been good. We know that they really like his stuff. They really like the guy they got from the trade, and we'll see how it shakes out, right? But he's certainly been treated like a starting pitcher to this point. I think it's certainly possible that when you talk about the mix of Waldron and Vasquez and Brito and Avila, that one of those guys, if not, you know, both of those guys, could be utilized as swingmen, longmen, however you want to call it, in the bullpen. So, you know, if Vasquez doesn't get one of the rotation spots, does he find himself in the bullpen in kind of a long relief role? I think it's entirely possible. But to this point, they like his stuff. The results have been good, and I still maintain that, you know, at this point, especially because the Padres don't have to be in a rush to make a decision, even with the games in Korea, that this thing is still pretty wide open, and obviously a good opportunity today for Randy Vasquez to continue doing what he's been doing.
All right, Sammy, we'll let you get back to work. Obviously, hear you throughout the day here on our airwaves.
Any recommendations for today?
For today, back in the Peoria area? No, Sammy has more expertise than I do on Peoria, for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've had two really good first-time dinners back-to-back. I had that place, V's, the other night, and then I had Andreoli last night. Yeah. So I'm on a roll.
Sammy, you gonna post the haircut or what? I'm waiting.
Well, well, you may see a video of me with the haircut. I don't know that I'm going to go out of my way to post it. But take this as you will. For the first time all spring, in fact, the first time in the last 2 springs, I showed up with a hat on.
Oh, my God, it's that
I'm wearing a hat as we speak.
So bad.
I think it's pretty bad. Now, I do sometimes put a hat on later in the day as it gets hotter and sunnier, and I just kind of, but I never do it from the outset of the morning, and I did today. So take that information.
Sammy, what are you going to do? You just let it grow out?
Is it going to naturally, or you shave it?
Yeah, you got to go back to a barbershop and get it cleaned up?
No, I think I can probably, because we're not like in the regular season where I really feel like I, you know, need to impress. I think I'm probably going to let it grow out. I think that's the plan.
All right. Well, just make sure it's looking good before you get home and get back to business. But
or else
you can just text me a picture of it. I won't share it. I promise. I would never.
No,
betray
he would
you.
never do.
I
such
never
a thing.
would. I never would.
Day 2 of bad haircut gate.
I want to see
for
it.
Sammy Levitt. Sammy, have a good day.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
All right. We have one segment left. It'll be a few minutes. I want to talk about July 11th. July 11th is a date Padres fans should know about this year.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons. Get to that next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. So Woodsy didn't know my tease, my July 11th tease. I just informed him, and he is now intrigued by what I was about to share.
You are a good teaser, man.
It's not just Slurpee Day, as it was pointed out in the
is
in
it
the
Slurpee
chat.
Day?
7-Eleven. It's
July
always-
11th,
July
right?
11th is Slurpee Day. It's 7-11. That's always the free Slurpee Day. That is not what I am talking about, though. Thanks again to Sammy Levitt, who just joined us. Let's take a last check of traffic, and then I will share all that is coming your way on July 11th after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a few things wrapping up our morning drive. Collision on the Grossmont Boulevard off-ramp, southbound 125. Also traveling on northbound 805 right before El Cajon Boulevard. Stalled car in the second lane from the left. And collision on the San Marcos Boulevard on-ramp to eastbound 78. And Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So just to set the calendar for you, July 11th comes, between the 10th and the 12th. It's the final week of the first half of the Padres season.
He did. He mansplained
calendar
race.
dates.
Calendar dates.
I was joking a little bit, but it's the final week before the All-Star break. Padres are at home. Tuesday, Wednesday, I think they take on the Mariners. Then Thursday, the 11th, is an off day. Then they have a weekend series against the Braves heading into the All-Star break at Petco Park. So it's a rare home off day for the San Diego Padres on the 11th. And there are now two events that have been scheduled. I got this email yesterday. Release, two-time Gold Glover Manny Machado is excited to announce his inaugural baseball pro camp this summer.
I'm in. I'm all in.
The Manny Machado Baseball Pro Camp will be held July 11th at Helix Charter High School in La Mesa, California. The camp is open to boys and girls, grades 1 to 8, and will focus on baseball fundamentals, games, and fun. Participants will have the opportunity to work directly with Machado to learn techniques and improve their overall performance. This is the first time Manny has done a camp, I think, for kids here in San Diego.
What age? He's going to be a dad. I told you, man. Things start to change when you become a father. You
Now,
start
Bo's
wanting to
in
do stuff like
kindergarten, right? Is he going to be? But by July, he'll be an incoming first
He'll
grader.
be an incoming first grader. I've already sent the link to Hannah. I'm sure she has already paid for Manny Machado camp.
Each attendee will receive a souvenir autograph from Manny Machado.
That's a fake autograph.
Camp team photo with
Right.
Manny, a limited edition Manny Machado baseball camp T-shirt, and additional upgrades available.
Paulie is there's upgrades?
During the checkout, yeah.
Is a souvenir autograph like a reprint?
Is not a real autograph?
I think it's...
He signed something for you.
I think it said, because it said something like, let me see here. It said, item provided, outside items not provided. So I'm sure it'll
they'll
be...
give you a signed picture.
He signs
Right.
20 helmets or something.
Because I've gotten some reprinted autographs before. Like, oh, cool. This is a copy of your real autograph.
Now, I'll be very impressed if Bo comes home from Manny Machado camp and can do that underhand flip throw from foul territory across the diamond.
He's not too, maybe not across the diamond, but he's not too far
He's
from
getting
it.
there.
The kid loves taking grounders, dude, more than anything in the world. So
I know he's got good hands.
He's got really good hands.
And by the way, July 11th could be a busy day for Manny Machado and some of the other Padres because the team.
Well, hold on. Do you think that I could get a special exemption to also go in?
You want to
and
be
learn
in camp
techniques? I think it'd be a funny bit.
Will they have T-shirts large enough for you?
I'll squeeze into a little kid's T-shirt. You know I will.
Just lined up. I mean,
just to listen to him explain how to field a ground ball would be so sick.
It's I think, very exciting for sure. I mean, there's knowledge to be gained from Manny Machado.
That's
at camp.
awesome.
And then that same night, still July 11th, Padres just announced that they will be hosting their third annual Dinner on the Diamond at Petco Park. And Ludacris is going to be performing live during the Dinner on the Diamond at 6 p.m. on Thursday, July 11th. The event highlighted by an elegant gourmet dinner with tables hosted by players, coaches, team execs, and alums, a cocktail hour, live entertainment by Ludacris, a live auction, and an opportunity to bid on unique, one-of-a-kind items. It is pricey, but the proceeds benefit the Peter Seidler Legacy Projects to continue his work on behalf of those less fortunate in San Diego.
I think it would be nice if Odyssey bought us a table.
I agree.
The alum tables.
The flagship should be there. It's a big night.
Alum tables start at $15,000, and
what's
the
alum? Sitting with alum?
Like you're sitting with Randy Jones.
Okay.
And then for VIP tables hosted by players, those start at $25,000.
Oh wow.
Adam,
Michael,
put it into the budget for the rest of the year. You can move things around, decimal plays here or there. I'm sure we're a big company; they won't miss it, right?
Yeah, of course.
$25,000.
Yeah, we should be there.
So that is all happening on July 11th, 2024.
Adam will totally lay out $25,000 for that. No
now,
problem.
Adam's from Atlanta. Ludicrous. Big Atlanta guy.
Huge Atlanta guy.
Maybe that's the tipping point for all of this.
That's a good point. Good point. They're asking in the chat about a potential viewing party for the opening day in Korea, and we are working on that. And I'd say we're at the 1 yard line.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can't share anything official. Obviously, we have to find somewhere that is open at 3 a.m.
Right.
All right.
And
preferably somewhere close.
Yeah.
In proximity.
We want them probably 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice. It would be somewhere within, say, 7 minutes of Petco Park would be a good place to go.
You don't want to drive too far.
Convenient for everybody.
All the way out to the East County or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that's a hump out there.
And you don't want it to be like smoky or anything.
No.
While you're there.
You want to
call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You want to smoke.
00466.
You want to smoke.
Press the wrong button.
You do.
Yeah.
You want TVs all over the place.
Yeah. I'd like a view of the bay when I'm watching.
Convenient parking. You can walk right in, obviously.
If only there was a place with like a player's
We
menu.
will. We're brainstorming.
The spread. What would the spread look like?
We're brainstorming somewhere like that.
If only there was a place that we've talked about 15 times a day for 6 years.
That could accommodate enough people and be open at that time of the early morning hours. We would be working on said event to hopefully announce soon.
I feel like I've hit a wall here. I just can't. There's nothing that's springing to mind right now.
Denny's?
If anybody knows any places like this, just let us know.
Denny's possibly an answer here? No?
Adam just said the cat's out of the bag. No, we were beating around the bush.
I thought we had to test some things.
We do.
And do
like I
some
said,
final
it's not done yet.
Crossings of T's and dottings of I's. But
I know how rabid Padres fans are, and then I know when you combine.
I mean,
them
we
with
don't
the
want you
tier
to go
ones.
right now to stake out your spots.
No,
but maybe tomorrow you can start thinking about it.
Would be pretty awesome to have a bunch of people show up for that. Be really great if it happens, because we still don't have a place yet. That's like 99% of the battle.
It could possibly be followed by a live Ben and Woods show
potentially
after the game, which we've never done a post-game show, obviously, in the morning before.
Yeah,
that will
it's going to be a weird,
very new experience to come on after a Padres game, but still in the 7 a.m. realm after a post-game show by Sammy.
Hopefully it goes to 17 innings and we have a 15-minute show after it. 17 innings, Padres win by 1, scratch out a...
Would there be anything to do at this place to occupy your time if they were there for, say, a while?
I mean, in a hypothetical world?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Any diversions,
That's
say?
that's what we're looking for.
Games of chance,
Games
perhaps.
of chance, games of skill. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, there you go.
Ryan says it'd be cool if the place had Baccarat.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking baseball and Baccarat. Two tastes that go so great together.
Ooh, a good Kung Pao chicken at like 4 a.m. would be delicious too. I don't know. That's a lot. It's a tall order.
A little Woo-Suck Go poker.
That's a tall order, Ben. No place has all of those
I
things.
can't
so
imagine that there exists such a wide range, diverse locale that could satisfy all of our needs.
Tyler says one of his requests is he'd like to eat spicy Asian slaw while watching the game.
We'll try to come up with that. I mean,
if we can find a place that has all of that,
you're putting
we'll
a
let
lot
you guys
on
know.
this. I mean, this sounds pretty impossible that we could find somewhere that had all of those things at the same time that could accommodate many tier ones to watch the first Padres game of the season.
It's going to be an S show. I'll tell you right now. An absolute S. The game starts at 3
a.m. You want to be in your seats by, 2:50
Well, I mean, it's
ready?
like we've never really we did it during the playoffs. It was an unofficial watch party that Ben and I were like, hey, we're going to go to the Leucadian. I blacked out by the 3rd inning. So that can't
would be
happen
bad.
this
We didn't
time.
have a show right after that game.
Like a
though. It was
Saturday
Saturday
I blacked
night.
out.
This will be a Wednesday morning.
Apparently, we lost to Jacob
This is
DeGrom.
3 weeks from this morning, in fact.
Oh, my God.
We will be hopefully doing that. All right, that's it for us. Annie and Elston are coming up next for the Imaging Director Supreme, Paul Reindl. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Wednesday from all of us here at 97.3 The Fan. So long.